Chapter 811, The Lost City of Kings, Ka. Ka. Huge waves of darkness kept rushing out from the first level, interrupting the celebration of the newly formed Three Dragons Alliance, while reminding this small group that the power of darkness was still overwhelmingly dominant. This is my sister's power. Looking at the tide of darkness that seemed to become even deeper and more furious, Red Dragon Zaka gritted her teeth reluctantly. The strongest Zaka. The Dragon of Doom. Desert Dragon Zaka and Ice Dragon Zaka looked at each other and shook their heads. Come on, we have to go to the upper level. Yunshi also knew that Black Dragon Zaka's power was much more than the level he saw now. If he guessed correctly, the entire continent, by now, had been consumed by the darkness. The third Princess Desert Dragon Zaka, who was originally in the royal palace, and the fourth Princess Ice Dragon Zaka's appearance here was the best proof of that. If following this trend, Yunshi already knew who he would meet on the third floor. His first princess and second princess must be waiting for him there. They, too, are dominated by Black Dragon Zaka. Why did the twin witches, who hold the hope of this world, build the Tower of Fire in advance? Too many questions haunting Yunxi's mind, and now there is only one thing to do. Go to the highest part of the tower, to find the last hope of the world. Once there, all the mysteries will naturally be solved. At the same time, it is also the moment of the final battle. Three Dragons Alliance, set out. Desert Dragon Zaka rushed in the front with great enthusiasm. Red Dragon Zaka took Yunxi's hand and walked in the middle, while Ice Dragon Zaka walked at the end. Behind the team of four, there were countless dark substances that poured into the second floor of the giant fire tower, devouring everything like crazy. Beyond the tower, the Black Dragon, who was as large as a world, stared at this tower of hope with cold and merciless eyes and gave the command. Annihilate them all, don't leave anyone alive. Ha! Yunshi, who stepped into the third floor, looked at the scenery in front of him and almost thought he was in the wrong place. Here, is it really inside the tower? Through the glowing doorway between the second and third floors, what unfolded in front of Yunshi was a huge city filled with a fantasy style. This city, surrounded by a faint curtain of light, erected one after another ancient stone walls on the roads. These stone walls are carved with unknown ancient names, each of which is a symbol of glory, emitting a faint golden light in the sunlight. The circular stone roads distributed in the city are spotless, carved with simple and beautiful patterns, and on both sides of the road are countless spiked stone pillars with magic lamps, showing a symmetrical mathematical beauty. In the middle of the city, there is a huge square, and the whole square is paved by special marble, smooth as a mirror, reflecting the sunlight of the sky. Around the square, there are 12 fountains of different shapes, like 12 scales of a clock, and the fountains will start in turn according to the different times. In the center of the square, there is a beautiful statue of a young girl, holding a magic short sword made of real crystal in one hand and a book representing wisdom in the other, smiling at the city, the most glorious civilization ever born in this continent. Is this Assyria? Yunshi looked at the landscape in front of him and recognized some of the buildings. However, what he saw was just a partial remnant of what remained after 1,000 years, and the city in front of him had long since ceased to exist in this era, or rather, it has only one name remained in this world, the Forgotten Ruins. The Assyria Royal City, the relics watched over by the kings. The statue of a maiden with a sword in one hand and a book in the other is the embodiment of this 1,000-year-old kingdom, the Queen of Assyria, who is respected by the people. The entire third floor of the giant fire tower, as if turning back the clock, completely recreates this ancient city that has long since disappeared into the river of history. Let the festival begin. Only the person who captures the most beautiful mermaid will be able to grant the wish. The huge statue opened its mouth incredibly, announcing the beginning of the mermaid game. It was the dreamlike festival that Yunshi had seen in the library that only innocent girls who entered the forgotten ruins would encounter. According to the legend, the ancient queen of Assyria is immortal, and she continues to dream in the depths of the forgotten ruins. The kingdom of Assyria in the dream, still prosperous, like another river in the timeline. The 1,000-year-old capital is permanently prosperous, and will regularly hold a festival to please the queen. The main event of the festival is a game called Mermaid Game, and only the girl who can catch a mermaid can fulfill her wish. Men can't see the capital. Only a pure girl can enter the royal capital and try to catch a mermaid for her small wish of love. Ding! The bell rang and Yunshi suddenly found that everything around him had changed. The streets, which were empty, suddenly had many more people coming and going, and they looked at Yunshi and the Three Dragons Alliance squad with curious eyes, pointing at them from time to time. Where are they from? Dressed really old-fashioned. The number of mermaids at this festival seems to be the largest ever. The queen is very happy. I hope there will be a winner in the mermaid game this time too. Hey, did you guys hear that the queen seems to be making an heir, and we are going to have a princess? What's going on? These humans. Yunshi listened to the voices of the people around them, looked at the crowd surrounding the huge Queen of Assyria statue, and fell into a great shock. Under the statue of the queen, people prayed reverently and then left one by one in order. Everything was in order. By the fountain pool, young girls are playing, chatting, wetting their little feet in white dresses, swirling out of the youthful unmoving colors. Anyone who sees them can't connect them with the dead, but in Yunshi's perception, they really don't have the breath of the living. Ghosts? Yunshi tried to reach out and touch the flower girl who happened to pass by him. Ha! Lord, do you want to buy flowers? The young girl looked shyly at the Yunshi in front of her, the flowers in the basket trembled uncontrollably. Ah, give me 3 roses. Yunshi awkwardly let go of her hand. Why can I touch her? This is not realistic. Aren't the people here ghosts? Chapter 8:12, Mermaid Game 1. Are you more interested in this kind of little girl? Red Dragon Zaka had a contemptuous expression on her face, her high heels unceremoniously stepping on Yunshi's feet. Sister, his second princess looks even younger than this child. Desert Dragon Zaka did not hesitate to uncover Yunshi's scars. Incorrigible lolicon. Ice Dragon Zaka continued to rub salt into the wound. Yunshi could only pretend not to hear, taking 3 roses from the flower basket of the shy-eyed flower-selling girl, and then giving them to each of the Zakas. It's for me, still have a conscience. Red Dragon Zaka's anger came and went quickly, being coaxed by a single flower. Can I eat this? Desert Dragon Zaka licked the petals of the rose, then took a small bite. It's bitter. That expression was like being betrayed by the world. Sister, roses are not for eating, but you can use them to make tea. Ice Dragon Zaka pinned the rose to the corner of her hair, and by hand, used her ice power to permanently freeze the rose. This would be a treasure for her collection, and she wished to freeze this moment in time permanently, as an eternal and unchanging memory. Ah! Bought 3 roses, Yunshi only to find that he has no money, no Assyria Kingdom's money to be exact. The ancient Assyria Kingdom currency is not gold or silver coins, but some kind of state-sanctioned stone plate, inlaid with the head of the queen, collectively known as the queen's coin. Can I use this to buy the flowers? Yunshi snapped his fingers and temporarily made a 3rd-ranked bread with his bread-making techniques. In terms of value, the 3 roses were naturally not worth this bread, but the penniless Yunshi could only barter with this. Good. The young flower girl looked surprised at the creamy bread that gave off a tempting scent. It was enough to buy half of the flowers in her basket. Ah, how can you sell our bread? Red Dragon Zaka was the first to protest. Yes, bread is to be cherished. Desert Dragon Zaka followed. It's a waste, why not give it to me to eat? Ice Dragon Zaka complained. The contempt of the three sisters made Yunshi feel both funny and annoyed, and he could only take out 3 collections from his own bread storage space to appease the discontent of his own 3rd, 4th, and 5th princesses. Oh! Bought by the bread, Red Dragon Zaka finally quieted down and began to gobble Yunshi's bread. Delicious! This can't be bought anywhere else. The bread is the only food in the palace that could not be mass-produced, the dessert that Desert Dragon Zaka had been craving for. Sister, I'll share half of it with you. Ace Dragon Zaka tore open her bread and fed it into the small squirrel-like Desert Dragon Zaka's mouth. Can you tell me when the festival is going to start? After satisfying the Zakas, Yunshi continued to ask the girl for information. Mermaid sisters will only come out at night. The flower girl pointed to the fountains around the square. They will randomly appear from the 12 fountains and start running away. Each mermaid sister will have a different ability, and it's not easy to catch them. Only those who can capture the mermaids will be able to fulfill their wishes. Take the mermaid to Her Majesty's palace and you'll be rewarded. This rule was almost similar to what Yunshi had read in the library of the royal palace, but Yunshi was not sure that this time, the mermaid game was also the same as in the past. After all, he was not a pure girl, he still appeared in this legendary Assyria royal city. It was not at all surprising that the originally harmless mermaid game had turned into a horror game. Moreover, from the time he entered until now, he did not detect the breath of Black Dragon Zaka at all, which is really too strange. The Queen of Assyria and White Moon, who were expected to be dominated by Black Dragon Zaka, all disappeared without a trace, as if they had vanished. Did they not have their minds eroded by Black Dragon Zaka like Desert Dragon Zaka and Ice Dragon Zaka? Or, is this world itself a big lie? In the end, what is true and what is unreal? Yunshi could hardly tell the point. The warm touch that just grabbed the flower girl's arm, as well as the softness of her skin, definitely does not look like something from the dead. What is hidden in this world? More flowers, my lord. My moonflowers are pretty too. My strawberries are just picked from the plantation, absolutely fresh. I have milk that has just been milked, do you want it? Yunshi was only distracted for a moment when he found himself surrounded by a group of lovely young girls. They all looked to sell all kinds of flowers and snacks as a job, wearing slightly old but absolutely clean and tidy clothes. Their cute faces looking expectantly at Yunshi, and many of them had traces of white cream around their mouths. It looks like the flower girls shared the bread Yunshi used to pay for the flowers with her friends. From the cheerful and healthy look of these girls, they are voluntarily out to work for their families and can safely sell flowers and snacks in this square, which also represents the very good security in this country. Was the past Assyria royal capital such a prosperous and thriving city? Yunshi snapped his fingers a few times, gave away a few loaves of bread made on the spot, and began to think about the meaning of the city's existence. Just nostalgia. No, it would be too exquisite to be just that. The grass and trees, the layout of the city, and the clothing of the people are almost all perfect reproductions of the ancient Assyria royal capital. Just from the scenery of this city, the later human kingdom is too far behind to catch up with it. The design of this kingdom can accommodate millions of people living together, and the forgotten ruins Yunshi saw were only part of the remains of this huge kingdom. The lost ancient Assyria capital, the mermaid game that only starts at night, the Queen of Assyria's wish. In the dark, Yunshi felt as if he had caught a clue to something. Soon, the sun was setting and the people gathered in the square began to retire in an orderly fashion, giving up the square at night to the inhabitants of another world. Having a good time, aren't you? You really are a hopeless liar. Red Dragon Zaka looked at Yunshi with an exasperated look of contempt. Just now, when the girls left Yunxi, that reluctant look on their faces indicated that they were obviously hooked. Now I've finally seen his human scum nature. Chapter 8:13, Mermaid Game 2. The Assyria capital at night was less noisy and more mysterious than during the day. Under the silver moon, the small fountains located around the square began to rhythmically spurt out transparent water, turning into a magnificent water screen. The 12 largest fountains, on the other hand, began to fill with a hazy mist of water, seemingly preparing for something. It was clearly on the ground, but it gave the delusion of a palace in water, which was proof of the Assyria kingdom's pursuit and dedication to art, as well as its high artistic standards. The water element in the air is starting to reorganize. Ice Dragon Zaka touched her fingertips to the watery air and came to the conclusion that something was happening. Yunxi, on the other hand, raised his head and looked at the silver moon in the sky. It was great that it wasn't the blood moon. Assyria in this time and space did not seem to be tainted by the power of the ancient gods, and he didn't hear the whispering of the ancient gods that made people lose their minds. Of course, even if there is a whisper, it won't work for the Zakas and him. With the passage of time, the lights of the city went out one by one, leaving only those magic street lamps still faithfully illuminating the circular paths under the darkness of the night. On the huge square, there were only Yunxi and the 3 Zakas, and the water curtain landscape that kept changing its posture. One after another bubbles began to appear in the middle of the square water curtain, and even turned into a fish-like silhouette, and faintly could hear the sound of singing. That is the song that the human throat cannot make. Even the 3 Zakas have not heard the beautiful singing voice. Rather, Yunxi, once beside himself, his ears have heard such a beautiful voice many times. It was the song sung by the mermaid queen in the world of the water god. The song was sung by mermaid brides for Yunxi. Legend has it that the mermaid song has the magic power to make human sailors jump off the ship and turn into part of the sea. Yunxi is even more aware of the lovely appearance of the petite and lovely mermaid brides as they sing their songs of love. Is it true, mermaid? Yunxi looked at the bubbles changing colors as if he had come to a fairy tale world. He. Na. Ah, The voices of the young girls, which began to quietly echo in the water curtain, seemed to be observing the place from a distant world. Is it going to be a fight? Is it going to be a fight? Desert Dragon Zaka summoned her indestructible sand eyes, and was ready to take a shot of quicksand vortex to kill all of that so-and-so mermaids. Burn, sky. Red Dragon Zaka followed her sister, proudly extending her index and middle fingers, preparing to unleash a 7-star meteor fire rain. However, both Desert Dragon Zaka's Sand Eyes Storm and Red Dragon Zaka's Meteor Fire Rain came to a screeching halt halfway through, leaving the two surprised. There's no fire element at my disposal. Red Dragon Zaka couldn't believe that the fire element, one of the world's 4 basic elements, didn't seem to exist in this strange world. It was impossible. The fire element was one of the 4 basic elements that built the world, and even in her sister Ice Dragon Zaka's Iceland, she could unleash a shower of meteoric fire without restriction. However, in this Assyria kingdom, the fire element just couldn't be at her disposal, as if it was forcibly suppressed by some kind of power. The earth is not obedient either. Desert Dragon Zaka stepped on the ground under her feet. All of it was a structure she was unfamiliar with, as if it had been completely restructured. No wonder. I felt wrong from just now. Ice Dragon Zaka shook her head. She also couldn't use her ice magic. This square, as well as the entire Assyria royal city, seemed to be covered by some kind of powerful domain, and the owner of this domain forcibly forbade all destructive magic use. In terms of the domain of magic, the owner of this city released a forbidden magic that surpassed the sum of the 3 Zakas, so all magic couldn't cause effects under this forbidden magic. Even physical attacks are the same, so if you can't break the upper limit of this domain, you probably can't do damage to the city at all. The first princess and the second princess have joined forces. Ace Dragon Zaka deduced the true nature of the city, whether it was the city itself or the humans that seemed to be alive, it was a certain magical aspect. The two hands of the giant clock across the square finally came together. 12 o'clock, it was. As if announcing the arrival of something, the 12 large fountains around the Queen of Assyria Square suddenly all spurted out a huge column of water. One after another playful and lovely figures happily jumped out from the water column, riding the wind and waves, swimming in the sky. Mermaids, wearing all kinds of swimsuit, wagging their tails and curiously looking at Yunxi. Yunxi was familiar with their faces. They were the girls of the Starwings Knights. The Count, the Marquis, and the noble girls who had occasionally been seen in the royal palace and had appeared at the festival were also amongst them. It seems that there are also many members of the White Lotus Sword Palace. At this moment, all of them have grown soft fishtails, wearing either conservative or bold swimsuits, comfortably swimming in the constantly intersecting currents. 7th, 8th, 9th, to 13th princesses are all here. Ace Dragon Zaka looked at Yunxi with contempt. You. Red Dragon Zaka's fingers were trembling, pointing at Yunxi beside her. How many girls have you had a relationship with? TSK, now they are full of people, my sister really does whatever she wants. Desert Dragon Zaka smelled. Even if they become mermaids, they look at Yunxi affectionately, and a few even wanted to swim to Yunxi. With the appearance of the mermaids, the Queen of Assyria's statue spoke again. The rules of the mermaid game are 3. Mermaids will do their best to evade your pursuit, but will not run out of the city of Assyria. The more beautiful a mermaid is, the harder it is to be captured. Only the one who captures the most beautiful mermaid will be able to fulfill the wish of his heart. The mermaids with snow-white skin and bold bodies smiled at the somewhat overwhelmed Yunxi, and many of them even took the initiative to start teasing Yunxi. Only, they do not make a human voice, but with a wonderful singing voice, showing their charm. Chapter 8:14, Mermaid Game, 3, La 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 La. This was the song of the Starwings Knights leader, Huayu, who was wearing a swimsuit with golden embroidery on her chest, and her waist was enclosed by an apron, with the outline of her plump chest visible. Her hair, with golden shell hair ornaments that no other mermaid has, looked elegant and gorgeous. She is obviously one of the most special mermaids among the mermaids. In contrast, the Starwings Knights deputy leader wearing a one-piece swimsuit presents a healthy beauty. With a golden ratio body after advancing to the hero rank, plus the god weapon on her back, giving her a unique charm among mermaids. Ling Ling, the secretary of the Starwings Knights, is wearing a bold and exposed two-cut swimsuit. Looking at that plump chest, he is worried about whether the swimsuit straps will collapse. The usually elegant ladies of the Starwings Knights ladies, at the moment, are all wearing attractive swimsuits, clustered around Huayu. Their snow-white skin and increasingly beautiful face let Yunxi almost not know where to focus his eyes on. Why are the mermaids wearing swimsuits? Yunxi increasingly does not understand the idea of his first princess. Why would the great queen of Assyria choose them as the mermaids? After all, why are they mermaids, and why are they all beautiful girls in swimsuits? What is her intention? Rules: choose the most beautiful mermaid. The more beautiful the mermaid, the more difficult it is to be captured. Only the person who captures the most beautiful mermaid will be able to grant the wish. After quickly repeating the rules of this mermaid game in his head, Yunxi suddenly discovered the trap. What would it take to determine who was the most beautiful mermaid? What is the judgment benchmark? Okay, I'll catch it. Desert Dragon Zaka directly rushed towards Huayu, who looked like the leader of the mermaids, with a fierce lunge. Ah! Huayu shook her head gently and her figure instantly turned into flying foam and disappeared under Desert Dragon Zaka's claws. Desert Dragon Zaka did not even catch a piece of the mermaid's scale, and directly hit the ground. They can move freely and instantly. Ace Dragon Zaka also struck, and she locked on one of the mermaids that looked weaker and easier to get at. Lulu, even after turning into a mermaid, still has a pair of rabbit ears on her head. Her rabbit ears shaking violently, and the panicked little rabbit closed her eyes all the way, and then jumped into Yunxi's embrace. Wow! The moment she hit Yunxi, the little rabbit Lulu's body turned into countless flying scattered water droplets, tenderly wrapped around Yunxi's fingertips, and then there was an extra little rabbit seal on his wrist. You have caught a mermaid. Do you want to offer her as a tribute to the Queen of Assyria? This is a mermaid named Lulu, very good at making medicine and absolutely will not betray you. If you choose her, you will have a cute and delicious little rabbit. A sudden prompt sounded in Yunxi's ears. Yay! Ah! Whoa! Completely unexpected that there would be such a thing, many of the surrounding mermaids showed chagrined expressions. If Yunxi chose Lulu as the tribute, the mermaid game would be over for him. Rules: the most beautiful mermaid. Yunxi looked thoughtfully at the bunny mark that appeared on his wrist, and then looked at the mermaids around him. They seemed to have no memories of being human, more like young girls immersed in fairy tales, naive and carefree. In a sense, they are perhaps closer to the real them here, let go of all the burdens of the real world, as carefree as real mermaids. Mermaid represents not their race, but implies a pure and unblemished heart. Then, the matter of choosing the most beautiful mermaid from these pure-hearted girls is a trap. Because there are no criteria to judge who is the most beautiful mermaid. Beauty, in the eyes of everyone, has a different standard. Some people like big-chest girls. Some people like small and delicate girls. Some people like girls with long legs, and are even willing to be trampled by that long, slender legs. And there are even people who like non-humans. I can't choose. Yunxi sighed. He couldn't choose who was the most beautiful one amongst the girls of the Star Wings. Among them, Yunxi simply cannot say who is the most beautiful mermaid. In addition to Lulu, the other girls of the Star Wings Knights are also looking at Yunxi with anticipation. They seem to believe that Yunxi will make a choice that they are satisfied with, a choice that is very much in line with Yunxi's approach. Chapter 8:15, Mermaid Game, 4th, choose, is it a golden axe, a silver axe, or a wooden axe that you dropped into the spring? Is it a mermaid with large breasts, a young mermaid, or a mermaid with the longest tail? Yunxi looked at the dazzling array of mermaid maidens and sighed helplessly. For him, this is not a single-choice question, nor even a multiple-choice question. It was because he couldn't make a choice. Then, the rest of the choices couldn't be simpler. I will capture all of you, Yunxi stated his tactics. You're such an asshole. Red Dragon Zaka stepped on Yunxi's toes harder, but did not protest against Yunxi's tactics. Your strategy is sound, but you sure are an asshole. Ace Dragon Zaka and his sister on the same side, even if she also agreed with Yunxi's tactics. Let's battle. Probably only Desert Dragon Zaka, who's a bit on the dumb side, doesn't care about Yunxi's temperament, and her warrior's instincts are calling her to act in the face of this throng of mermaids. Yah! Ah ha 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 ha! He 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 he! The mermaid girls who were being watched by Yunxi responded with different reactions. Centered on Huayu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, Hanazuki, most of the young ladies blushed and covered their little faces, with their tails contracted underneath them like shy roses. The commoner faction swordsmen, centered on Little Grass, deputy head of the Starwing Knights, were all glowing. Their fishtails were fluttering, just short of letting out a song. In the hazy water mist, there are more mermaid girls with curious, naive eyes looking at Yunxi, seeming to be looking forward to something. Start capturing it, not one less. Since he had decided to capture them all, Yunxi simply pulled up Red Dragon Zaka's hand, instantly launched the Thunderwalk, rushing towards the group of Starwing Knights. Since he is going to capture them all, he will start with the most familiar girls. Ha! The leader of the Starwing Knights, Hua Yu, revealed a mysterious smile, making a light turn, and then her figure disappeared in the water curtain. Ha! Ah! Whoa! The girls around Hua Yu ran away in a flurry, transformed into flexible fish. The mermaid game, at this moment, officially began. Even if you can use magic, you will not be able to escape. The desert dragon Zaka issued a roar, leaping up high into a fierce and incomparable posture, and rushed towards the group of soft mermaid girls. Ah! Whoa whoa! Yeah. According to logic, the strength of the mermaid girls will never rival that of the desert dragon Zaka, but in this unique environment, they can showcase incredible ability. Whenever desert dragon Zaka tried to grab them, they will immediately turn into foam and flew far away from there. As long as it was covered by the water curtain, they could flee freely. And with the start of the mermaid game, the water curtain that originally only appeared on the square began to spread rapidly, distributed to the entire city. This is the real mermaid game, a fantasy game with the entire city as the venue. Moves separately. Ace Dragon Zaka and Desert Dragon Zaka temporarily broke away from the range of Yunxi's connection, and one chased a group of mermaid girls to the west city, and another towards the north city. Yunxi stared at the group of girls of the Starwing Knights and rushed into the east city. The ancient capital emitted a unique charm in the moonlight. Snow-white magic lights and the laughter of maidens ambled the ancient city once again rejuvenated. Why can't I catch up with them? Yunxi and Red Dragon Zaka's speed was fast, but they still couldn't catch up with the girls. Several times, Yunxi was only a few miles away from the girls, but this little distance became an insurmountable rift. One side was unable to use their abilities, while the other side could move freely within the water curtain. This game had been rigged from the start. They can't use their abilities, but the other side can maneuver freely within the water curtain and escape. How do they catch the girls? After Chachant and Lockant a dozen mermaids in a row, Yunxi realized that his tactics had a huge hole. He couldn't even catch a mermaid. He thought that Ice Dragon Zaka and Desert Dragon Zaka were facing the same problem. So, how to solve the problem? Why was the little rabbit Lulu so easy to catch, while the other girls of Starwing Knights ran so fast? Clearly, the strength of Lulu definitely was not weak. Why was it that she panicked and rushed into his embrace, allowing him to achieve the achievement of keeping the rabbit? Piss off, these mermaids are cheating. After having tried a dozen times without catching a Chantal mermaid, Red Dragon Zaka pouted with anger. Cheating. Yunxi seems to have a flash of light in his mind. Yes, the rules of this mermaid game are, no restrictions on cheating. That is to say, no matter what method to catch the mermaid can be. All means are allowed. Then the question arises, without Yukant the transcendental power, is there any way to catch mermaids? Yunxi temporarily stopped and looked at the mermaids who were far away from him because of fear or shyness and showed a thoughtful expression. Hey, why not continue to chase? Don't you want to catch all the mermaids, and then eat them all? Red Dragon Zaka puffed and looked around at the mermaids. I think that going after them like this might not be the best way. Yunxi simply sat down and observed more attentively, paying attention to every move of the mermaid girls around. For them, this is probably a dream world full of fairy tales. They can't talk in their dreams, but they are not without feelings. Curious and innocent, they are just like a piece of white paper. The girls who present the mermaid posture are pure in mind and body. Yunxi was more certain of this when he looked at the mermaids of the Starwing Knights. Compared with other innocent mermaid girls, the Starwings Knights, as in reality, are divided into two distinct factions. Well, this faction gap is too easy to understand. Chapter 8:16, Mermaid Game, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yunxi counted the Starwings Knights with large breasts. All of them were undoubtedly the eldest ladies of the aristocratic family. 31, 32. Apart from them, there are also a large number of girls, but they are basically civilians of the Starwings Knights. Even in the fairy tale Dream, they who incarnate as mermaids also clearly distinguish their own camps. Take Rose, a new member of the Starwings Knights, as an example. As soon as she joined the group, she was assigned to the aristocratic family sect. Without the mask of bandages, the full peaks attracted the envy and hatred of the civilian girls of the Starwings Knights. If they are the same here. Yunxi closed his eyes. All the offensive extraordinary powers in the city are limited, and neither magic nor dragon breath can be used. However, besides being a half-tone swordsman and a part-time disciple of the battle god genre, he also has another rank. Rather, this was his original job. The fourth-ranked life profession, baker. There are 67. Recently, he fed a lot of bread to the 3 Zakas. Yunxi counted his own storehouse. There were up to 100 treasures in the storehouse, and there were 67 gold cream bread, the superior product since he became a baker. This 4th-ranked bread is the highest level treasure owned by Yunxi at present. It is a masterpiece sublimated from his most skilled formula, 3rd-ranked golden bread. The 4th-ranked bread is a valuable and marketable supplement. Even the dragon would like to eat it. This kind of bread contains part of the original strength of Yunxi's hero rank power, a strategic level food that even the 10-Leaf Alliance urgently lacks. He still remembers that on the desert island, the girls of the Starwings Knights loved the bread made by May, and even evolved the bread ranking war, which has now become a routine activity of the Starwings Knights. If the mountain is far away, then your choice is to see the mountain, or let the mountain come to you. Yunxi took out one of the 67 rare loaves of bread and decided to put the plug on his masterpiece. These golden butter bread with magical quality gave off a delicious aroma. In the water god world, the Spider Queen from the Void had been seduced by it. On the one-day date with the twin witches, the proud Red Lotus and the holy princess Jinwu were also captured by it. In the world of Dragon War, even the ferocious Red Dragon ate the bread happily. Well, the ferocious Red Dragon has now become the 5th princess of Yunxi, and is now looking at the golden butter bread that Yunxi took out with ferocious eyes. I'm hungry. Red Dragon Zaka licked her little sweet tongue. Obviously, she is not hungry, but she doesn't know why. Seeing this golden butter bread, she feels like she wants to monopolize it. I will give you a lot of things in the future. Now that I have other uses. Yunxi looks from left to right and from east to west. The methods to be used next are not very aboveboard, but they should be absolutely effective. Mermaid girls who are pure as a white paper don't have a memory of when they were human beings. Once they are chased by human beings, they will fall into a state of panic and run around. Like little rabbit Lulu, who is an idiot without a sense of direction, is only a rare example. The vast majority of mermaids have a beautiful swimming posture, and even the dragon can catch up with them in the king's city of Assyria where the water curtain is all over. In that case, it would be better to change our thinking. Since these mermaid girls have an innocence that doesn't belong to human beings, once they are approached by human beings, they will flee in all directions, so it is okay not to approach them, but to let them take the initiative to throw themselves into my arms. To this end, Yunxi must take out the appropriate bait. It happens that Yunxi has such things. Will this work? They're not idiots. Red Dragon Zaka looked at Yunxi, who was tying a transparent silk thread to the bread. They are smart and have a good sense of danger, but that's also their weakness. Yunxi holds a small fishing rod in his hand, which is almost the size of an arm. If the bait is useful, he can even catch the mermaids. The plan is this. First of all, Yunxi and Red Dragon Zaka hid themselves in the bell tower. Then, the bread that was tied to the silk thread was thrown away and hung on the water curtain. Finally, it's patience. As long as you don't let them find your existence, then when the mermaid takes the bait, everything will come naturally. This is Yunxi's mermaid hook plan. Whether it works or not depends on practice. Red Dragon Zaka licked her paws. She doesn't believe that this ridiculous plan will succeed. Even the older fish in the lake can't be fooled by such a trap, let alone the smart mermaids. Mermaids are creatures that are favored by ocean gods. How could they be tempted by just a piece of bread? Take the bait. Yunxi shook the small fishing rod in his hand and directly pulled up a lovely mermaid who was alive and kicking with bread in her mouth. Ah hoo hoo. She is undoubtedly the best among all the mermaids. Yunxi is very familiar with her. Ling Ling, the secretary of the Starwings Knights, take the bait. What? Red Dragon Zaka stared at Ling Ling, who was easily caught by Yunxi. She was happily hugged by Yunxi and willingly melt into foam. Well, the second one. Yunxi looked at the cream-like mark on his wrist, nodded, and continued to lift out the remaining bread as bait. After about 10 seconds, the fishing rod in Yunxi's hand shook violently. It was obvious that the curious mermaids had not learned the lesson of Ling Ling and had begun to bite. With a skillful swing and shake, the third mermaid also took the bait and flew to him obediently. Darling, don't eat too much. You don't have such a big appetite as Ling Ling Meilon. Yunxi touched the head of the mermaid and tore off about a fifth of the bread to satisfy Meilon. Chapter 8:17, Mermaid Game 6. In the light of the silver moon, the royal city of Assyria was covered with a sparkling water curtain. From time to time, beautiful mermaids jumped out of the water to show their perfect body and skin under the moonlight. They are the favorites blessed by the Queen of Assyria and the girls who freely enjoy the happy time in the mermaid game. In the past, their figures jumping in the moonlight have become a unique ritual in the royal city of Assyria. According to the convention, the people of Assyria who stayed in their homes all looked at these happy mermaids with smiling eyes, especially the girls who loved to listen to fairy tales, and almost kept their eyes on these beautiful fairies. However, this year's mermaid game seems a little different from usual. More than one person witnessed a fat and soft golden bread fall from the sky to the water, and then a beautiful mermaid will be attracted soon, often more than one or two. They all surrounded the fat bread curiously, smelled the smell of the strange bread from time to time, and finally could not help but open their small mouths to take a bite. At this time, the fat bread will suddenly take off, and Miss Mermaid who is biting the bread will also take off into the sky, and finally disappear in the far side. This scene had a great impact on the innocent hearts of many young girls. Why is there bread here? What happened to that bread? Kill that bread. Many girls saw that those innocent and lovely mermaid sisters were lured away by the bread and never returned. They were provoked in an instant, and their eyes became fiery, gnashing their teeth when they looked at the bread. As for other girls, especially those who had eaten some kind of bread at the Queen of Assyria Square during the day, they showed doubts. Do the mermaid sisters like that kind of bread? Why does that bread look so familiar? Yes, it must be that big brother's bread. The two opinions mixed together and finally formed a fierce argument. In the process of the girls' argument, several beautiful and lovely mermaid sisters were seduced away by the fat bread. The girls can't bear it at last. For those who look forward to the innocent and lovely mermaid girls, this scene is simply a crime. If one side of the mermaid game pursues the beautiful mermaid sisters in the normal way, just like the outsiders who have been run around just now, that is fine. What is this cheating method? No, we must protect the mermaid sisters. That damn bread must have been drugged. Let's grab the bread. So, about a few minutes later. Ha ha ha. Red Dragon Zaka almost burst into laughter and looked at the girl who was biting a loaf of bread and showed deep hatred for Yunxi. She doesn't have a mermaid tail. Instead, she has a pair of pink and lovely legs. And is wearing pajamas. Apparently, she is not their target. Little sister. Why do you bite the bread? Yunxi looked at the little girl who bit his bread hard and seemed to have a grudge against him. This is obviously a mistake. Why would even the little girl, who he doesn't know, bite the hook for the mermaids? Fortunately, there was no sharp hook in his bread. He just used superb fishing methods to hook the mermaids, otherwise it would be bad. Oh. With the spread of the crisp and soft taste of the fat bread in her mouth, coupled with the wonderful taste that is sweet enough to melt, this little girl who dedicated herself to her mermaid sisters finally seemed to understand why mermaid sisters would take the bait one by one. This bread is really delicious. Just lick it with your tongue, you will feel the taste of sweet sunshine. If you bite it down, the white cream will be squeezed out in your mouth happily. You don't need to swallow it, so it warms your whole body. This is too early for you. Hurry home. Yunxi quickly rescued the little golden bread from the little girl's mouth. That's the key strategic material for the success of this mermaid game. Sobbing. The look in the eyes of the little girl at Yunxi is about to melt. What a weak and pitiful look it is. It's impossible to refuse. You can only eat a small piece. This is too nutritious for you. Yunxi reluctantly tore off a small piece to feed the little lorry who was caught, then continued to throw out the bread and waited for the next mermaid to bite. There are more than 20 different marks on his wrist. Lulu's is a funny little rabbit mark. Ling Ling's is a sweet mark of cream pudding. Mei Lan's is a serious bookmark. The noble girls of the Starwings Knights are very similar flower marks, including rose, tulip, and vanilla. In addition to the members of the Starwings Knights, Yunxi accidentally hooked up with several mermaid girls who didn't belong to the Starwings Knights. They were basically the predecessors of the Sword Palace. Yunxi only had some vague memories about them in class. They also appeared at the Blood Moon wedding. Most of them were earls and marquis daughters as background, that is, noble daughters guarding the kingdom. Why do they become mermaids in the mermaid game? Yunxi doesn't know what's going on. He is also confused about what criteria his first princess uses to select mermaids. To put it bluntly, all mermaid girls are beautiful, lovely, and have a pure heart. Otherwise, they won't be caught by Yunxi with golden butter bread one after another. The 23rd one. It took about 2 hours. Yunxi finally fished the mermaid girls in this district, that is, most of the members of the Starwings Knights have been successfully caught by him. Incidentally, there are 5 more pink and tender little girls on the tower. The highest age is only about 12 years old. They are brave girls who stand up to protect their mermaid sisters. They bite Yunxi's bread in advance and never let go, which eventually becomes an extra gain for Yunxi. Well, all the mermaids here should be finished. At last, Yunxi, who fished 3 little girls in a row, put away the fishing rod, gave the last half of the bread one by one to the 5 little girls with bright eyes, and jumped out of the bell tower with Red Dragon Zaka. Goodbye, big brother. Goodbye, mermaid sisters. Don't forget to join the mermaid game the next time. The little girls said goodbye to Yunxi and jumped down the bell tower to tell their new fairy tales to their friends. That is the story of the mermaids, the bread, and the princesses. Chapter 8:18, Mermaid Game, 7. Assyria King City, the Western District. On the clock tower of the same style, two people who had also jointly implemented the mermaid hook plan. This. Yunshi looked at a group of little girls around him, their eyes glowing, their cheeks flushed, and they begged for hugs. Big drops of sweat fell from his forehead. You. Lolicon. Red Dragon Zaka bit Yunshi's arm like a rabbit biting a carrot. She bit his arm harder and harder. There were still traces of white cream on her mouth. There are 13 mermaids. This is the record of Yunshi and Red Dragon Zaka after they changed the fishing area. According to common sense, Yunshi's proficiency in catching mermaids has continuously increased, but it took longer, and the harvest is less than that in the Eastern District. As for the reason, there are 15 girls. All of them are little ones who don't listen to their parents and come out to bite the bait for Miss Mermaid. The oldest is 13 years old and the youngest is 8 years old. They are young princesses full of adventurous spirit. Without exception, after eating Yunshi's precious golden butter bread, these little princesses all fell into a similar drunken state, one by one immersed in the taste of happy bread. The little pink face, the snow-white skin in the pajamas, and the blushing face and glowing eyes after eating the 4th-grade golden butter bread are just like the lovely dessert delivered to the door this night, emitting a tempting smell of crime. In this regard, Yunshi said that it is definitely not his own fault. The 4th-grade golden butter bread is really too exciting for these little girls. All night tonight, they probably couldn't sleep. It's too much to replenish their energy. What else can you fish for besides bread? Red Dragon Zaka angrily looked at the growing number of little girls and wanted to find another way to catch the cunning mermaids. No. Yunshi answered firmly. It was lucky enough to think of this method to catch mermaids. You can't use any offensive and extraordinary power. The mermaid has an absolute home advantage and can shuttle infinitely through the vast water curtain world. It's impossible to capture a mermaid with normal methods except for traps or gambling that a mermaid bumps into you. In the past, the girl who completed the task of catching a mermaid in the mermaid game probably ran into a mermaid who failed to shuttle carelessly by throwing a net and chant around. Why don't we pretend to be mermaids? Red Dragon Zaka advised a bad idea. Yunshi looked at Red Dragon Zaka, who seemed to want to transform into a mermaid, and shook his head. It's not like wearing women's clothes. It can't be done by simply changing your clothes. According to his observation of the Starwings Knights, who turned into mermaids, they were not simply added with a fish tail. They also had the abilities of some fairy tale creatures, and were hardly hurt by physical and magic attacks. If you want to catch them, you have to touch their skin and body. In that moment, they will turn into foam and fly away, and then leave their own unique marks on the wrists of the people who catch them. Yunshi, who has caught many mermaids, now has dozens of beautiful and lovely marks on his wrist. He is an elite mermaid hunter. Well, the feel. After catching nearly 20 little girls, Yunshi had a preliminary experience about whether he caught a mermaid or a human little girl. The bite hook was very heavy and shook around violently. Most of those that were caught are mermaid girls. The bite hook was light and only let the fishing rod shake gently. Most of those that were caught were human little girls. Alas! It seems that I caught the wrong fish again. Yunshi shook the small fishing rod. The 4-ranked golden bread is very attractive for both mermaid and human little girls. This time, Yunshi guessed both right and wrong. What he caught was a pair of prey. Moreover, there is a big fish among them. Xiao Chao, the deputy head of the Starwings Knights. And a cute little girl from the royal city of Assyria who bites the hook with Xiao Chao. That is, 2 birds with 1 stone. 1 loaf of bread brought 2 young girls. Xiao Chao happily bit Yunxi's bread and enjoyed Yunxi's special bait with the little girl who was caught together. After they finished eating, they reached out to Yunxi with a tacit understanding. Even if they can't speak, Yunxi knows what they want to say. One more. No. Yunxi knocked on Xiao Chao's head, who was really a natural girl loyal to her own desires. The longer he gets along with her, the more he can feel her directness and loveliness. In the dormitory of the Starwings Knights, he often saw Xiao Chao wandering in the corridor without wearing clothes. It seems that she was completely unaware that she was not wearing clothes. Among the Starwings Knights, Xiao Chao is also the most absent-minded. She got the token that she can enter and leave the Sword Palace freely. She has been hanging around in the venue of the White Lotus Sword Domain for many days, and has won many games in a row. Xiao Chao frowned, looked at Yunxi who refused to provide bread, suddenly clapped her hands and began to take off her clothes. Ah! The little girl, who was caught with Xiao Chao, looked at Xiao Chao and began to take off her white pajamas too. Through the moonlight of the bell tower, Xiao Chao's healthy light brown skin forms a wonderful contrast with the snow-white and glittering skin of the little girl next to her. Yunxi instantly blushed. Like an infectious disease, Xiao Chao made a bad start, and other little girls began to learn from her to take off their clothes. No, you can't take it off. You'll be eaten by the bad guys. Red Dragon Zaka quickly stops it, or the clock tower will become an indescribable world. Yunxi reluctantly took out another piece of bread and put it on his chest. Then he felt the familiar weight and temperature. It was the unique taste of Xiao Chao, like the healthy smell of summer sunshine. The colorless foam spreads, and a sword-shaped mark is added to Yunxi's hand, which is the unique mortal sword posture of Xiao Chao. This mark gives Yunxi a special feeling. It seems that it contains some different power from other mermaids. Ah! Big brother. Delicious. Well, a girl who is not a mermaid will not disappear even if she hugs Yunxi, so Yunxi has a slightly luxurious worry. No, you absolutely can't look at them. If you dare to look, I'll blind you. In Red Dragon Zaka's angry voice, Yunxi didn't know whether he was in heaven or hell. Chapter 8:19, Mermaid Game 8, Assyria King's City, the North District. Oh, that's what you did. Desert Dragon Zaka looked at Yunxi, with an expression of, I knew it might be like this. It would be better if her claws were not savagely pressed on Yunxi's head. This is a good way, but you really are scum. Ice Dragon Zaka learned from her sister and put her dragon claw on someone's dog head. I want to go down and blow up this head. The third dragon's claw is pressed on the head of the sinner, and Red Dragon Zaka can't bear it anymore. Ah! What terrible sisters. Is the big brother going to be killed? The three little girls hid in the corner of the bell tower with frightened faces and looked at the three Zakas who were going to commit domestic violence against their lover. The Three Dragons Alliance has the same position at the moment. We must not let someone be too arrogant. I am really innocent. Yunxi surrendered with both hands. After the incident in the West District was reported to the Zaka sisters hunting in the North District by Red Dragon Zaka, the incident was out of control. Now, he deeply felt the horror of this mermaid game. The water is too deep. Although I knew he had a problem, it was too serious. Desert Dragon Zaka took a look at the three noble little girls caught by Yunxi. Why are they nobles? Because the North District is the upper-class settlement closest to the main city, even the daughters of businessmen are not qualified to live here. They didn't get nothing from Chachant after mermaids. Now almost all mermaids from other regions are gathered in this aristocratic district, which makes it easier for Yunxi to catch mermaids. However, because there are so many noble girls living in this area, the number of curious babies is far beyond the normal probability. So, after Yunshi caught a mermaid in the first shot, he caught 3 noble little lollies in the second shot, which greatly increased the efficiency. This mermaid game has corrupted you. I really misunderstood you. Ice Dragon Zaka presses Yunshi's head hard. The Three Dragons Alliance has made unprecedented concerted efforts. We are still fighting. Yunshi tried his best to explain. At this time, he even hoped that Black Dragon Zaka would appear soon, otherwise he would have to face the crisis of fire in his backyard. You are cunning. No wonder my sister has blacklisted me. Desert Dragon Zaka let go, which is a means to forgive Yunshi. Remember my sister's tolerance. This is for my sister Zaka. Ice Dragon Zaka also let go. Sooner or later, the 4 sisters of Zaka will teach you a lesson. Red Dragon Zaka clenched her teeth and loosened her dragon claws. She would never forgive this guy's playfulness if she was not still fighting with Black Dragon Zaka. This guy's heart is absolutely black. Well, this time it's a mermaid. After fishing so many mermaids, Yunshi finally mastered nearly perfectly how to identify the prey. The heavy pole almost made the fishing rod bend. This time, the prey is definitely the largest in history. The golden figure fell gracefully into the bell tower. Hua Yu, the leader of the Starwings Knights, finally fell into the hands of Yunshi. The mountain in front of her swayed, and she smiled at Yunshi, but she didn't ask for bread like the deputy head Xiao Chao. Hua Yu. Yunshi's neck was gently hugged by Hua Yu's hands. Hua Yu caught by Yunshi was like a princess, enjoying the world of these 2 people in the arms of Yunshi. Be careful. There are hidden mermaids. This is the first time Yunshi has heard a mermaid make a sound. It seems that even in this state, Hua Yu, who has the blood of platinum roses, still retains some memories. Compared with other confused mermaids, she obviously has more wisdom and movability. Her intimacy with Yunshi also makes his heart beat faster. After biting Yunshi's ear and telling Yunshi this important information, Hua Yu's body also turned into foam and flew away. It was a golden foam different from other mermaid girls. Yunshi's wrist is also marked with a platinum rose. Hidden mermaid. Yunshi, who got important tips from Hua Yu, tried to recall the mermaid figure he saw in the fountain of the Queen of Assyria Square. Besides the Starwings Knights, are there any other special mermaids? In the cascading water curtain, it seems that there is indeed a familiar figure, but at a glance, it is impossible to accurately judge who it is. Who else hasn't been caught? Yunshi retrieved the Starwings Knights members he has captured so far. Hua Yu, Xiao Chao, Ling Ling, Meilon, Lulu. Even the newly joined Night and Magic team was caught. Robin, and Mumu. After checking all the marks related to the Starwings Knights, Yunshi found the last 2 mischant fish. Robin has mysterious predictive power. It's normal that it's very difficult to capture her. Mumu's personality is so simple. How can she not bite the bait yet? How many mermaids do you see? Yunshi inquired about the 3 Zaka sisters. About 80. Desert Dragon Zaka gave a vague figure. It should be 81. Ice Dragon Zaka, who has excellent observation skills, gave a more accurate figure. 81. Red Dragon Zaka also gave the same number as Ice Dragon Zaka. There is no doubt that the dragon's eyesight is far beyond that of human beings, and this number is similar to the number in Yunshi's mind. Among the 81 mermaids, almost all are members of the Starwings Knights. Among the mermaids Yunshi has caught so far, most are the girls of the Starwings Knights. Except for Robin and Mumu, other members have basically been caught. The problem is that except for the Starwings Knights, most of the faces Yunshi had a general impression of at his wedding, but there were also a few completely unfamiliar faces. Is the hidden mermaid one of them? Yunshi found that there was a part blank in his memory. Unexpectedly, he couldn't remember the appearance of several mermaids. This is not right. Based on his observation of female artists, this phenomenon should not exist. Where did those mermaids who had never appeared in his memory come from? Chapter 820, Mermaid Game, 9. There are 19 mermaids left. The bell tower in the North District has become a paradise for all kinds of noble little lollies. They were caught by Yunshi with gold bread. Like the little guys in the East District and West District, they chirped around Yunshi like birds. Even the glare of the 3 dragons could not stop the curiosity of these little princesses. Big brother, where did you come from? Isn't mermaid a game for girls? Big brother smells good. Feeling the murderous spirit of the 3 dragons, Yunshi smiled bitterly and put away his fishing rod. There has been no mermaid bite for a quarter of an hour. According to the experience of the previous 2 areas, all the mermaids in this area should be captured by him. The last South District is also the largest and broadest urban area of the whole King City of Assyria, accounting for almost 1/3 of the whole King City of Assyria. Yunshi has a premonition that there will be a decisive battle. Take out a piece of complete golden butter bread, and then tear it into small pieces to feed the noble little girls attracted to him. Yunshi began to think about how to catch the last mermaids. He is convinced that no member of the Starwings Knights can resist the temptation of golden bread, but not necessarily the mermaid outside the Starwings Knights. In other words, we must consider that there are mermaids who can resist the temptation of bread. This possibility exists, rather it has already appeared. Because Yunshi has found solid evidence. From the original East District to the present North District, the amount of golden butter bread he used has indeed been growing. This is not only because of the lollies, but also the existence of an invisible black hand. The black hand, or the hidden mermaid, is not sure whether it is one or several, but it is cleverly mixed with the mermaids and girls. When they bite, it will steal part of the golden butter bread. At first, Yunshi thought that the mischant bread was eaten by the mermaids or girls who were caught, but soon he found something wrong. What a clever mermaid! Yunshi calculated the consumption of the bread he used and the mermaids he caught, and found out the evidence of the existence of these hidden mermaids. As the number of mermaids decreases, it is only a matter of time before they are exposed. Everyone should go home. Have you ever seen a little strange mermaid? Yunshi touched the heads of the lovely girls and asked them what they had seen. Sure enough, a child's heart is the purest and flawless, and she doesn't even know what a lie is. Well, yes. I have seen the white mermaid, it was very beautiful. A mermaid sister wears a mask and moves very fast. The girls, who were originally helping Miss Mermaid Sisters, were cleanly bought by Yunshi with bread and gave out vital information. White, and mermaids in masks. Yunshi recalled his general impression of 81 mermaids and found that they were mermaids without data. Such a mermaid with obvious characteristics should be impossible to escape his eyes. There is no doubt that it is the hidden mermaid called by Huayu, the head of the Starwings Knights. They seem to have more powerful abilities than the head of the Starwings Knights, and even steal Yunshi's golden bread bait. They are mermaids at the top of all mermaids. Are you impressed? Yunshi asked the 3 sisters of the 3 Dragons Alliance around him. I have never seen such a mermaid, but I have felt strange eyes. Desert Dragon Zaka carefully pondered her intuition when chachant the mermaids and confirmed the existence of 2 hidden mermaids. Among the 81 mermaids, there is an uncertain number. Ice Dragon Zaka also found the abnormal existences in these mermaids. Take more bread and go fishing. Red Dragon Zaka said disapprovingly. Anyway, you have an unlimited supply of bread in your hand. You can cheat these little guys. Yunshi shook her head. There was not much bread in his treasure bakery, and he had a premonition that if he didn't change his tactics, he would not be able to catch the two hidden mermaids even if he used all the reserves in the bakery. Compared with other mermaids, they have more powerful abilities and more fierce appetites. They are never satisfied with 1 or 2 loaves of bread. To complete the achievement of full mermaid capture, it would be impossible to rely on the current tactics alone. However, they are not without weaknesses. Come here, my tactics are like this. Yunshi summoned the 3 dragons to his side and began to arrange tactics. The final battle place, South District of Assyria. A dozen mermaids swam happily in the water curtain, leaping out of the water from time to time according to the ancient tradition, showing their vigorous posture in the moonlight. Prince, I'm number 1. I haven't found the target. Lurking in the shadow, Desert Dragon Zaka held a paper tube and whispered to the tower. Prince, I'm number 2. I haven't found anything here. You can use your bait now. Ice Dragon Zaka looked at the mirror in front of her and didn't miss any clues. Above the tower, Yunshi closed his eyes and listened to the reports of the 2 Zakas. The paper tube and connection constitute the most basic reporting device. This is the wisdom from the Mechanist God's domain. It doesn't use any extraordinary force, but only uses the sound transmission device of physical effects. With the help of the 2 Zakas, Yunshi has extra eyes and ears to catch the mysterious mermaids. Mermaids are very sensitive creatures, so both Desert Dragon Zaka and Ice Dragon Zaka are in a latent state and will never take the initiative to catch mermaids. The main force of the mermaid capture plan is still Yunshi with perfect bait. This time, he is bound to win. The golden bread with wonderful fragrance was thrown out from the high tower and stably stayed on a water curtain, attracting the curious eyes of several mermaids. They had never heard such an incredible taste, and instinctively told them that it was very, very delicious. A young mermaid, looking around, swam to the side of the bread and was ready to bite. The water's surface suddenly twisted at this moment. A black halo and a white halo slammed together violently. At the moment when the young mermaid bit the hook, they tore off a small piece of golden bread with lightning speed, and then separated. Chapter 821, Mermaid Game, 10, there are 18 more. Yunshi gently touched the newly caught little mermaid's head, and let the mermaid, who should be a member of the White Lotus Sword Palace, turn into a foam and disappear in his arms. On the wrist, there is another mark that looks like a gentle and quiet little lady. From her age, it seems that she is not an elder or classmate of the Sword Palace, but a novice witch of the Witch Palace. Prince. Report number 1, White Mermaid found. Desert Dragon Zaka bit her paper tube excitedly and reported a major discovery to Yunshi. Prince, report number 2, there is a black mermaid. Ice Dragon Zaka also confirmed that there were black mermaids among the hidden mermaids. Guayu, the head of the Starwings Knights, reminded Yunshi that the unknown hidden mermaid finally appeared. What are the characteristics of the white mermaid? What are the characteristics of the black mermaid? Yunshi asked the 2 Zakas who were in charge of monitoring. They saw different angles because of the channel line connection. I can't see clearly. It's too fast, but the white mermaid should be faster than the black one. The black mermaid is more powerful and will run to the white mermaid to fight for food. The keen eyesight of the dragon clan was useful at this time. Even if it was only for a moment, the 2 Zakas still got hold of the attributes of the 2 hidden mermaids. The white mermaid has the fastest speed among all mermaids and can snatch a small piece of golden bread from the mouth of the biting mermaid every time. The black mermaid is the strongest. She will in turn plunder the food robbed by the white mermaid. Every time 2 mermaids meet, they will fight. This is the truth Yunshi never thought of. Sure enough, they are special and have the power to completely overpower other mermaids. If the mermaid represents the essence of the girls trapped in the dragon war world, then the two hidden mermaids definitely have the power to surpass the Starwings Knight's head, Huayu. Who are they? How can we catch them all? Yunxi continued to throw out golden bread bait while thinking, attracting those innocent mermaids. With the cheat item, 4th-ranked golden butter bread, a normal mermaid cannot resist. The difficulty of the mermaid game is reduced to the easy mode by Yunxi. The biggest problem now is that he needs more information about these two unknown hidden mermaids. Keep watching. After giving orders to the two Zakas, Yunxi held his breath and began to speed up to catch the last group of mermaids. Ah! Prince! Robin, who was late, bit the bread and showed a wonderful smile to Yunxi. Have you also retained some of your wisdom? Yunxi looked at his court fortune teller who was almost the last to take the bait, showing a very interesting look. The prince. The last mermaid. Be careful. Robin, who was caught by Yunxi at last, smiled after spending a happy time in the royal city of Assyria. Two birds that didn't belong to this world jumped out and couldn't wait to launch Robin's unfortunate prediction to Yunxi. If you choose the black one, it must be black. The black mystery will devour you, and you will be executed. If you choose white, it must be white. White is the representative of purity. It has the highest hand feeling. If you do it, you will be executed. Anyway, no matter which one is the death penalty, quack quack, that's good. You have no choice, because they are all dead. It's wonderful. Yunxi's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. The birds raised by his court's fortune teller never said good things. However, their predictions sound creepy, but they really work. No matter who is chosen, it is the death penalty. Is this any new method of punishment? What does the black mermaid and the white mermaid represent? Up to now, there is no retreat. If the number of 81 mermaids is not wrong, Robin is now the penultimate, and several other mermaids have also been caught by Yunxi. The final battle is about to begin. Yunxi threw away his fishing rod and bravely walked out of the bell tower. The tactic of a mermaid taking the bait is over. To catch the last two mermaids, normal means will not work. Come on, let me see who you are. Yunxi took out the last few treasures left in his hand. In order to catch these lovely mermaids, the ammunition in his bread storage card was almost exhausted. Now he has the two highest treasures in the bakery, which can be said to be the strongest weapon of the hero-rank baker. The water's surface fluctuated violently, and two different watermarks burst out from different water curtains. Schwa! The silver white is a strange mermaid with a beautiful curve. Yunxi doesn't know her. She wears a crystal white mask on her face. The outline is more or less similar to the posture of Yunxi's white emperor appearance. The scales emitting silver glow give people a sense of sacredness and inviolability. Her swimsuit looks very different from other mermaids. It is a structure similar to an armor. Sure enough. Yes. Yunxi smelled the familiar scent. Although he was wearing a mask, Yunxi still deduced the identity of the mermaid. Mumu, the smallest member of the Starwings Knights. Her whole body exudes a sense of superiority. Is it the power of her blood that woke up? This is the essence of Mumu. If Yunxi can deduce her identity according to the exclusion method for the white mermaid, then he has no idea about who the black mermaid is. Like Mumu, she has a mask, but it is a black bone mask. There are two eyes on the mask, but they are not parallel just like human eyes. Instead, they are located in the center of the mask. There are two black sharp corners on the forehead, reliant a dangerous aura. Yunxi felt a great sense of oppression from her. However, at this moment, the two hidden mermaids have the same goal, which is the treasure bread in Yunxi's hands. This is the bread marked with chantal digits, which is the 4th grade golden butter bread with the longest storage time and the most delicious taste in Yunxi's bakery. Compared with other bread, they have the highest quality and temptation. In the eyes of the two mermaids, the same desire appeared. Chapter 8:22, Mermaid Game, and the last two mermaids almost collided at the feet of Yun-shi, stirring up the water spray all over the sky. They didn't run away because Yun-shi saw them, but began a fierce confrontation. The goal is the perfect quality bread in Yun-shi's hands. Hey, they can't escape. Desert Dragon Zaka leaped out of the hiding place with excited eyes. Be careful, sister, they. Ace Dragon Zaka also rushed out of the hiding place, but not to catch the mermaids, but to stop her sister. The target targeted by Desert Dragon Zaka is a silver mermaid. She looks better to catch than a black mermaid. It turned out to be an illusion. Before Desert Dragon Zaka rushed to the silver mermaid, her tail rolled up waves all over the sky, and countless waves immediately bombarded Desert Dragon Zaka, hitting it directly from the South District to the North District. On the other side, the horrible black mermaid also showed her terrible strength. One hit, just one hit, the black water column flew Ice Dragon Zaka, who was ready to support her sister Desert Dragon Zaka. In the mermaid game, in which the transcendental power is limited, they impressively have terrible attributes that no other mermaid has ever had. Ultimate speed. Ultimate power. It's not a supernatural force, but just relying on the simplest attributes, it crushed two Zaka with the same physical quality and monster level. They are monsters among monsters. How can I catch it? Yun-shi's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. The last hidden mermaids are the ultimate boss of the game. The silver mermaid blowing Desert Dragon Zaka away began to swing its tail in a circle, with elegant and gorgeous movements, showing a leisurely atmosphere. It's not the smell of mumu known by Yun-shi, but more like the smell inadvertently emanating from something lofty, sacred and inviolable. On the other side, the black mermaid raised her index finger and middle finger, and her tail stood upright, blatantly showing her superiority in the sky and the world. This gesture. Red Dragon Zaka looked at the posture of the black mermaid and could not help looking at her fingers. Holiness and grace. Domineering and violent. Obviously, they can't feel the breath of transcendental power, but just by virtue of their physical quality, the two hidden mermaids display or even surpass the phenomenon attack of magic. The water circle behind the silver mermaid was constantly superimposed, and finally turned into a huge wave that broke everything, sweeping towards the black mermaid. The black mermaid's index finger and middle finger are bent, placed on the thumb, and then popped out. The invisible shock wave sent out a sharp howling sound in the air, penetrating the huge waves layer by layer, cutting the water waves like a sharp blade. The silver mermaid whirled quickly to avoid the penetrating shock wave. At the same time, the tail of the mermaid swung to create larger waves. The black mermaid raised her fist, shrunk, and then burst out. Red Dragon Zaka and Yun-shi jumped at the same time, dodging the path of the fist. One fist divides the sea, which probably describes the scenery at the moment. The huge waves triggered by the silver mermaid were completely blown away by the black mermaid's fist. The extreme power even tore the seemingly indestructible land of the king's city of Assyria, leaving a trace as deep as several meters. In the mermaid game, a real damage appeared for the first time. The fist of the black mermaid was so domineering that even the rules of the mermaid game could not be restrained. This power. Just because he is also limited by the rules of the mermaid game, Yun-shi can intuitively feel the horror of the black mermaid fist. That was a more terrible destructive power than the hard body's all-out strike, which even destroyed the rules of the mermaid game. In the world of the Dragon War, who can throw such a punch that almost destroys the world in the real world? It's my sister. Red Dragon Zaka recognized the truth represented in the trajectory of this fist, the real mermaid with a black mask. Sure enough, it's Black Dragon Zaka. After confirming the identity of the Silver Mermaid with the exclusion method, Yunshi finally determined the identity of the last Black Mermaid. Such a terrible force, even the mermaid rules of the Queen of Assyria, can destroy the bit space. Who else is not the last strongest black dragon Zaka among the four sisters of Zaka? However, the essence of Mumu reflected in the mermaid game can compete with black dragon Zaka, but it is far beyond Yunshi's expectation. Perhaps it is because Mumu in this game is not herself, but her essence, so she can do this. Considering that Yunshi obtained the hard body from the seeds shared by Mumu, is there a power in Mumu's blood that can resist Black Dragon Zaka? Even if their fist tore the earth, it didn't hit the Silver Mermaid that Mumu incarnated, or even scratch her skin. Her speed, completely above the Black Mermaid, can be said to be invincible from the beginning. However, the power of Black Dragon Zaka is too pure and powerful, which makes Mumu's Silver Mermaid helpless. When the ultimate power evolves to this level, it is invincible. Mumu. Yunshi tried to call the real name of the Silver Mermaid, and gained a piece of confusion and curiosity from the eyes of the white mask. Sister Zaka. Red Dragon Zaka also tried to call the real name of the Black Mermaid, but there was no response. In that dark pupil, there was only the murderous chi that was bound to be gained. Even from her feet, there were black traces spreading, which was a sign that the extraordinary force that should not exist in the mermaid game began to spread. The rules of the mermaid game can hardly limit the power of Black Dragon Zaka. Law. 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 In the suffocating atmosphere, the Silver Mermaid began to chant. It was a joyful and yearning song, an ancient ballad echoing in the starry sky. The sweet, the joyful, the sad, the painful, even the regret, and the anxiety are all the melodies of love. No matter when and where, this yearning is with you, because it is the song of my love. I was born to love you and sang loudly to pass on my love. The silver halo spread around Mumu, impressively like Black Dragon Zaka, and began to break the rules of the mermaid game. At the same time, Yunshi's ear also sounded a soft and sweet whisper. My lover, open your eyes and see the beautiful world I have created for you. Dad, use it, all the mermaid power. On Yunshi's wrist, one mark after another flew out. Huayu, head of the Starwings Knights, Platinum Rose. Deputy Commander, Grass, Mortal Sword. Secretary, Ling Ling, Cream Pudding. Secretary, Melon, Volume. Court Diviner, Robin, Divination Book. Little Rabbit Lulu, Little Rabbit. Each mark adds a power to Yunshi, which is the reward of the mermaid game and the signal of the end of the first phase of the mermaid game. There were only 79 mermaids from the beginning. The last 2 mermaids were out of control and were hidden rewards. In order to obtain the final hidden reward, the owner of the mermaid game gave the winner the reward of all the players in the first stage in advance. The prohibition of extraordinary force is lifted. Mermaid game, the second stage, is also the final showdown. Start. Ready to use. Yunshi felt his whole body suddenly lightened, and the infinite essence belonging to Red Dragon Zaka poured in at once. Finally, we can have a big fight. Red Dragon Zaka is gearing up. Even if the opponent is the strongest Black Dragon Zaka, the Red Dragon of Fire is fearless. Law. 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 The Silver Mermaid who broke the prohibition of mermaid games sang loudly, and the water wave of the whole Assyria King city suddenly began to rise, turning into a real ocean, as if it connected the endless world of water elements. I want bread. Black Dragon Zaka's black traces at her feet are increasing. Her eyes, which are turned into black mermaids, send out a palpitating sense of oppression. That feeling was like a giant enough to cover the world, which was forcibly compressed into the body of this small mermaid. A huge demon sword in red and black slowly appeared in her hand. The originally golden sword came to the third floor of the huge fire tower and began to show its horror. On the hilt of the disc, 3 treasure beads, dust, ice and nightmare, have been inlaid, making the sense of oppression released by the demon sword reach an unprecedented level. Yunshi even has an illusion that if the sword recovers its full strength, it may tear the world of the dragon war apart. No, this may not be an illusion, but the truth. After Black Dragon Zaka summoned the demon sword, her momentum instantly increased 10 times. There was a black dragon shadow emerging in the black traces under her feet, covering half of the royal city of Assyria like the other side of the world. If Yunshi had not obtained the power superposition of all mermaid girls in the first stage of the mermaid game, he would not be able to withstand the pressure of Black Dragon Zaka at the moment. Law. 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 The silver mermaid turned around the king's city of Assyria like a white line. Black Dragon Zaka raised her head. The red and black demon sword in her hand emits a strange sound. The blade of the sword body starts to rotate, just like when Desert Dragon Zaka summoned the Star of the Sand. However, what Black Dragon Zaka controls is far more dangerous than the Star of the Sand, and the precursor alone is far beyond the falling momentum of the Star of the Sand. The silvery white aperture began to overlap and increase, and there was no secret skill. After the restriction was lifted, the combat effectiveness of Mumu was incredible even for Yunshi. We should go too. How could Red Dragon Zaka miss this century war? She firmly grasped Yunshi's hand. Well, sink, go. Yunshi closes his eyes and starts the highest level of synchronization with Red Dragon Zaka. With the power superposition of 79 mermaid girls, Yunshi naturally crossed the boundary of the hero rank in a trance and captured his own hero track. It was a very wonderful feeling. Unlike in the water god world when he was possessed by Cassina the battle god, he was a complete bystander at that time. He knew it but didn't know why. Even if he used the power far beyond the limit of the hero rank, he couldn't understand the principle. Now, Yunshi, who has stood in front of the hero rank gate, has finally seen his future road. After his race value reaches a certain critical point, he presents the heroic road in front of him. Infinite essence is transmitted from Red Dragon Zaka's body, enabling Yunshi to release more than 10 times his own secret arts. Their hearts are connected at this moment. Victory is the will of Red Dragon Zaka. To win, this is Yunshi's judgment. Strength and wisdom. Skill and heart. Hot as fire, the divine light starts. Launch, Dragon Roar Wave. Together, they released their strongest ultimate combination move. At first, it was just a small da, emitting a beautiful silvery white glow. The 4 spiral lines are regularly connected at this point, rotating and moving forward. The dark red light wave is like the tail of a comet, releasing its own light and heat. This is the holy crimson light created by Yunshi and Red Dragon Zaka. What happened? Mumu, who was drawing countless silver lines in the sky, tilted her head and looked at the familiar silver light spots, showing a puzzled expression. Hiss. In the mask eyes of Black Dragon Zaka, the dark pupil showed an incredible expression for the first time. Next second. Boom. The silver spiral light immediately bombarded the demon sword dyed red and black by Black Dragon Zaka, and forcibly interrupted the moves that Black Dragon Zaka had not yet completed. This is the intuition of Yunshi and Red Dragon Zaka. Black Dragon Zaka must not be allowed to complete that move, otherwise the whole royal city of Assyria may turn into dust. The ominous smell gathered on the demon sword was blown away by the silver spiral, and the sword was also released from the hands of Black Dragon Zaka. Overconfidence in her own strength may be the only weakness, but still a fatal weakness, of the powerful Black Dragon Zaka. The demon sword, supported by the 3 treasure beads of dust, ice and nightmare, has the power to destroy the world with one slash. The dark red holy light released by Yunshi and Red Dragon Zaka also has such power. At least before Black Dragon Zaka gathered 4 beads, the forces of both sides were in the same position. The dark red divine light, which runs through all defenses, is the strongest trump card of Yunshi and Red Dragon Zaka, bringing the dawn of victory. Now, Red Dragon Zaka knows that there is only one chance. If they don't take this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to defeat Black Dragon Zaka, they will never have another chance. In the dark red dragon roar wave, Yunshi rushed forward without hesitation, and with an unstoppable momentum, he faced Black Dragon Zaka, whose right hand was paralyzed, and stuffed a large bread into her mouth. Chapter 823, The Voice of Black Dragon Zaka, Quack. Black Dragon Zaka, who was stuffed into her mouth by Yunshi with golden cream bread of perfect quality, showed a very wonderful expression. The ominous smell that had brought a fatal sense of oppression vanished like white cream in her mouth. The sweet, soft, and happy taste spread in her young body, and even the black mask on her face began to produce obvious cracks. It works. Desert Dragon Zaka, who had just been beaten black and blue, and had just climbed out of the ruins, knew from the performance of Black Dragon Zaka that she was about to fall. That bread is really poisonous. Ace Dragon Zaka, who has also eaten Yunshi's bread and even played licking games, clearly knows the consequences of eating that bread. Red Dragon Zaka felt the same way. She ate Yunshi's bread, then opened the defense step by step, and finally got out of control. The 4 sisters of Zaka are similar in many places, so Black Dragon Zaka cannot avoid what happened to them. Gee, woo. Bit Yunshi's bread, the murderous spirit emitted by Black Dragon Zaka disappeared little by little, and the black mask on her face fell into pieces. Under the mask, there is a déjà vu face of Yunshi. She is the youngest of the 4 sisters of Zaka. She is the smallest in both height and weight. After eating more than half of Yunshi's golden bread and butter, Black Dragon Zaka seemed to wake up and stared at Yunshi with angry eyes. However, she could not return to her original murderous appearance after biting the soft bread and leaving white traces on the corners of her mouth. I also want. Mumu, who painted silver-white lines in the sky, also fell down, and the small fishtail wrapped around Yunshi, acting willfully. Unlike other mermaids, neither Black Dragon Zaka nor Mumu immediately disappeared after contacting Yunshi, just as the rules of mermaid game cannot completely restrict them. Ah! At this time, Black Dragon Zaka found herself surrounded. While Black Dragon Zaka was eating bread, Desert Dragon Zaka, Ice Dragon Zaka and Red Dragon Zaka all surrounded her. Desert Dragon Zaka touched Black Dragon Zaka's head with a gentle expression, showing a puzzled expression. Why is she so young? Aren't we the same age in theory? Ace Dragon Zaka focused on the skin of Black Dragon Zaka, and was also lost in thought. Her growth posture is not normal. Sister, is there something wrong with your body? Red Dragon Zaka has completely forgotten that they are still in a state of hostility with Black Dragon Zaka. They almost forget Yunshi around them when they care about their youngest sister. Sisters. Black Dragon Zaka bit Yunshi's golden butter bread, and her eyes gradually became quiet. Yes, we are your sisters. Why did you suddenly become violent? The state just now is not right. What happened to our mother? The 3 Dragons Alliance surrounds the last sister. Everyone wants to know what happened to their youngest sister, the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon Zaka under normal conditions cannot be the same as they saw on the 1st and 2nd floors. Black Dragon Zaka, entangled by endless darkness, certainly has the unparalleled power that can even completely overwhelm the 3 Dragons Alliance, but the feeling of that power has been out of control. No matter Desert Dragon Zaka, Ice Dragon Zaka or Red Dragon Zaka, it is impossible to lose control of their own exclusive god weapon, because their exclusive god weapon is the fantasy god weapon tailored for them by the great original dragon mother. The Star of the Sand in Desert Dragon Zaka's hands. Force Dragon Tea in Ice Dragon Zaka's hands. The Meteorite Core in Red Dragon Zaka's hands. And Black Dragon Zaka's Nightmare Heart, which is a god weapon that can be used to kill gods. Among the four sisters of Zaka, it's the only original god weapon that can do damage to gods. The Dream of Mother. I can't resist. Black Dragon Zaka chewed Yunshi's bread, her body trembled slightly, showing a confused expression. This is the Black Dragon Zaka that Desert Dragon Zaka, Ice Dragon Zaka, and Red Dragon Zaka know. Among the four sisters of Zaka, Black Dragon Zaka is the quietest. Desert Dragon Zaka has a wild and unbridled temperament. Ice Dragon Zaka has a cold and slightly poisonous temperament. Red Dragon Zaka is a representative of enthusiasm. The last Black Dragon Zaka is a silent and mysterious existence, but it is not indifferent, she doesn't know how to get along with others. Her speechless is not silent, but is good at doing her own work silently. She has the strongest power among the four sisters of Zaka, but she is the quietest sister. It is hard to imagine that such a girl would show the madness before. This is definitely not the sister that Desert Dragon Zaka knows. The battle is not over yet. After almost eating Yunshi's golden bread and butter, Black Dragon Zaka pressed her forehead, even the power of ancient gods can't quell the nightmare of mother. To win, I need to take the most important thing from my mother. Shaking her body, Black Dragon Zaka walked up to Yunshi, hugged him, stood on tiptoe and whispered in his ear, "Only you can do it. When you see hope, take it away. That's also the wish of my mother." Subsequently, the mermaid body of Black Dragon Zaka, like other mermaid girls, turned into countless foam and disappeared into the arms of Yunshi. There is a black mask mark on Yunshi's wrist. Good night, big brother. Together with Black Dragon Zaka, there was Mumu, a silver mermaid who stole another perfect quality bread from Yunshi and showed a full expression of enjoyment. She stretched and hugged Yunshi comfortably, then waved to him, "Bye. What a sweet dream tonight." In the silver-white foam, Mumu's mermaid avatar also disappeared in front of Yunshi. Her mark is a circle, a silver circle. The marks of 81 mermaids have been collected so far. With the end of the mermaid game, the ancient royal city of Assyria began to sink into the water a little, just like returning to the embrace of the sea. A ladder of light appeared above the king's city of Assyria. On the stairs, the Queen of Assyria and White Moon are holding hands waiting for Yunshi. The giant stupid spider slowly opened its multiple compound eyes and surveyed Yunshi and the three dragons. Chapter 8:24 Farewell of the Queen of Assyria. Yunshi looked up at the Queen of Assyria, her first and second princess, and naturally understood why Black Dragon Zaka appeared in the royal city of Assyria as a mermaid. Mermaid game is the fantasy of the Queen of Assyria and a memory beyond time. The ability to pull Black Dragon Zaka into the mermaid game, limit most of her strength, and give her a mermaid posture is undoubtedly a feat accomplished by the Queen of Assyria with the help of ancient gods. And all this is for him. They gave him the best blessing and the strongest help. However, they also paid a huge price for this. It is not the dead who will sleep forever. In the wonderful eternity, even death will disappear. Do you like my last gift, my love? Holding her daughter, the Queen of Assyria gracefully stepped down from the throne of a huge stupid spider. The perfect appearance reminds Yunshi of the time when they first met in the underground lake. The young queen sleeps on a huge stupid spider and emits beauty beyond ordinary people's understanding under the bloody moonlight. The bare snow-white feet, the slightly sad eyes, and the curious look when looking at him. For her sake, Yunshi created White Moon, but White Moon awakened her own consciousness and even began to rebel against her mother. She chose to accept all this and forgive all this. Finally, in Yunshi's story, she married him with her daughter. On the wedding night, the queen's skin was as smooth as grease and fragrant as greasy powder. The gentle, fragrant and soft body of White Moon was wonderful. With that slight movement, you can feel the touching touch of the queen's warm skin and the ecstasy of kneading in front of her snow peak. White Moon was sitting on his body, her white feet were shaking, her pearl toenails were as lovely as a scallop, with a greasy and tender pink smell. The girl's skin is soft, smooth and crisp, with a charming voice. The smooth and warm face stuck to him, and the pure, sweet and easy-to-push-down taste and sweet and pitiful voice whispered in his ear. She stepped on his body with bare feet and tried to endure the gentle sobs. Compared with the desert dragon Zaka sisters, the sense of disobedience and the impulse to violate taboos brought about by the Queen of Assyria and White Moon are quite different. The last gift. Are you leaving? Repression the frenzied impulse in his heart, Yunshi looked at the huge stupid spider and the blood moon behind them, feeling a little uneasy. It seems that he made a fatal mistake in a certain link. The Millennium Dream is over. White Moon should also get her real body. Thank you for the best gift you gave me. The Queen of Assyria hugged White Moon's small body, showing an intoxicated expression. I never thought I could get such a precious and unique gift in the world. This is 100, 1,000 times more important than my lost kingdom. It is a treasure that no god weapon can match. I can pay anything for her. The wedding night is over. I have to take her to get a real body. So, my love, let me give you my last blessing. That's our agreement. Hold her heart, the Queen of Assyria raises her hand, and the glory of the blood moon falls, just like listening to the Queen's solemn oath. No matter how time passes, whether it is 1,000 years or 10,000 years, under the witness of the ancient God, our wedding will be valid forever. Maybe I don't know what love is. But I swear here. All my life, I only allow you to touch my body, kiss me, and enjoy the intimate time with me. Things in the world can be seen at a glance. They are all boring, unpleasant and chaotic. I can't treat everyone equally and gently. I can't sincerely pray for the people who matter to me. I think it's a good thing that important people can feel bad and cry for me. But today, I changed my mind. I don't think it's bad to have a lover. Even if the world is so boring, you are different and worth watching. I will remember your name, waiting for you. So, say goodbye for a while now. In the name of. I will find you. No matter where you are in the star world, I will find you with White Moon. Then, please smile. The giant stupid spider walked slowly, put the mother and daughter on its body, and then looked at Yunshi with a strange look. Earless spider blades emerged and exploded one after another. They are offering the last salute to the great queen who has left, and giving the last cheers to the queen who will leave the world. The great kingdom of Assyria will never fall. Because the queen's place is Assyria. Dad. I will return with the best body. Thank you, for giving me soul and life. White Moon, who was held by the Queen of Assyria, burst into tears and cried loudly. The transparent tears were like broken pearls. Be good. Don't be afraid. One day. You will find. The Queen of Assyria gently comforted her daughter and looked at Yunshi with softer eyes. A child who can cry and be willful is something that even the gods will be soft-hearted and yearn for. At the Ashith level, it is impossible to obtain such a treasure. Why is that so? This world is really incredible. It seems that all memories are rejected here, and the boundary between illusion and reality has become blurred. Only in such a magical world can such a prince appear and realize her wish that she can't even realize by herself. Really, it is like a dreamlike lover. Dad. I like you. I will find. White Moon stretched out her little hand, and another round of blood moon emerged in the sky. The two rounds of blood moons overlapped, opening a gap, like an entrance connecting an endless abyss. Thank you for your brilliance. Although, for some reason I was chosen. Goodbye, my Assyria. Goodbye, my love. For the next meeting of fate. The Queen of Assyria, holding the crying white moon, sat on the huge stupid spider and stepped back into the crack leading to the abyss. No, isn't it? Looking at the Queen of Assyria and her daughter who disappeared into the abyss, Yunshi had a premonition of something bad. Pafu. Little Pafu came out from Yunshi's chest and waved goodbye to the Queen of Assyria. Chapter 825, Coming, Black Dragon Zaka. Part 1. Thank you. Feeling the huge power in his body, Yunshi sincerely thanked the Queen of Assyria and White Moon who disappeared at the end of the abyss. They obviously have a way to escape from the Dragon War world and don't need to join the war that determines the fate of the world. However, they finally held this mermaid game, and gave him the essential power of 81 mermaid girls. This is definitely not without cost. All the fallen spider blades around the Queen are proof. Let's go. The last battlefield is there. After sorting out his emotions, Yunshi took a deep breath. I have a bad feeling that my mother is there. Desert Dragon Zaka scratched her head. Even if she was bold, she would still feel a little uneasy if she really wanted to compete with the ultimate power of the world. Yes, Sister Black Dragon Zaka also said that my mother is having nightmares. Ace Dragon Zaka made an absolutely correct judgment. Even so, we have to fight. Red Dragon Zaka, who respects her mother more than anyone else, said categorically. From the moment they connected with Yunshi, they had no way back. Then, get ready. Desert Dragon Zaka took the lead in extending her small hand, followed by Ice Dragon Zaka, Red Dragon Zaka and Yunshi. 4 hands, pressed together. 3 Dragons Alliance, fight. Sand eyes emerged and appeared at the feet of the 4 people. With Yunshi as the arrow, a dragon blade rose into the sky. In an instant, it ran through the end of the transparent ladder and came to the last battlefield of the world. In the sky, there are endless black clouds. A black dragon covering the world is winding its huge body around the last tower of hope for mankind. The huge fire tower, hundreds of meters high, a large part of the tower body has been swallowed up by black matter, and only the torch on the top of the tower is still burning, which is the last light of hope for mankind and the world. It was a pair of twin witches in white and red that kept the torch. Hand in hand, they stood barefoot on the golden altar, with a golden balance suspended in front of them. On one side of the scale, a glowing red heart still beats, while on the other side is engulfed in a swirling black vortex. At this moment, the balance of the golden balance has completely fallen to the side of the black vortex. Every time the black vortex rotates, the gold balance will tremble. If the white witch hadn't shaken the ring in her hand from time to time, giving the hot red heart the mysterious power of starlight, I'm afraid the balance would have fallen to the side of the black vortex. The whole world doesn't exist other gold. The shadow of the black dragon has covered the whole heaven and earth. In the endless darkness, only the top of the tower is still emitting light. There you are, Prince. Looking at the 3 Dragons Alliance and Yunshi who rose to the sky and fell to the top of the tower, the witch wearing white witch clothes smiled sweetly. Are you here to marry us? First of all, it's wishful thinking. Even if you are the only man left in the world, I wouldn't marry you. The witch holding the red lotus holy sword spat. You are really good at it, you playful bastard. Desert Dragon Zaka stared at Yunshi's neck with a sure expression. In the morning, at noon, and at night, you will have estrus. This is human beings. Ice Dragon Zaka sneered. Mother and daughter. You have a big appetite. Red Dragon Zaka and her two sisters glared at Yunshi, and the three dragons alliance reached an agreement again. Now is not time to say this, that is. Original dragon. Yunshi was sweating and watching the body spread endlessly, just like a black dragon devouring the world. No, that's Black Dragon Zaka. Desert Dragon Zaka shook her head. Her god weapon has the attribute of making her body infinitely larger and devouring the world. The Heart of Nightmare is the original god weapon that can be used to kill gods. Yunshi looked at the black dragon that had already pushed the world to the end. It was difficult to connect the dragon with the small black dragon Zaka. Why, as the youngest of the four sisters of Zaka, did she has this terrible body shape? Swallow the world, Black Dragon Zaka. She is disaster, she is the end. She was the youngest Zaka, part of our mother's deepest nightmare. The Three Dragons Alliance is also the first time to see the real body of Black Dragon Zaka that has evolved to engulf the world. With the power of the Heart of Nightmares, Black Dragon Zaka continues to devour and grow, and finally reaches the level of covering the planet. This is the attribute of Black Dragon Zaka. It is inconceivable that there is still a pure land in the world that has blocked the devouring of Black Dragon Zaka. The power of the twin witches is really strong. They can even survive in the face of this crisis. But they made another choice. The principle of equal exchange is the truth of all things. What you give, what you get. What you get, what you lose. The last stage has opened, Prince. Are you ready? White Lotus held the golden balance in front of her. All preparations are for the final decisive battle at this moment. Which side of the golden balance will eventually fall? The duty of the twin witches is to witness the end of this war and determine the ultimate battle of the world's destiny. Black Dragon Zaka's power is infinite, and she has the qualification to dominate the world. The whole world has been entangled by her body and can't break away. The only ones who can fight against the power of Black Dragon Zaka are those who also belong to the original dragon and the prince who married them. The Dragon War, the final task of the main line, starts. Chapter 825, Coming, Black Dragon Zaka. Part 2. The final battle to bet on the fate of the world begins now. I'll come first. Even in the face of Black Dragon Zaka, who has evolved into a dragon devouring the world, the Red Dragon Princess of Fire will never give in. The sky began to burn, and the girl's index finger and middle finger diverged, turning her infinite energy into a magic like the ocean, and condensing into a forbidden spell that could destroy the sky and the earth. Meteorite Fire Rain, 7 layers of energy. Numerous fire-red pulp bubbles float in the cloud layer of the fire cloud, and constantly drop on the body of Black Dragon Zaka. The high temperature of tens of thousands of degrees makes the surrounding black substances evaporate together, revealing the Black Dragon scale unique to Black Dragon Zaka, which is like black crystal. However, these golden red bubbles, which are enough to turn a battlefield into a fire hell, fell on Black Dragon Zaka, which, like light rain, only stirred up subtle ripples, and even left no trace on the beautiful scales of Black Dragon Zaka. I'll come too. Despite the loss of her own god weapon, the Star of the Sand, after connecting with Yunshi, Desert Dragon Zaka also shared the boundless energy of her sister Red Dragon Zaka. Desert Dragon Zaka created the largest desert area in history. For huge sand eyes are suspended around the 4 people and turned into solid shields. This is the natural power of Desert Dragon Zaka, which even Black Dragon Zaka can't take away. Ice Dragon Zaka summoned mirrors, and disappeared her own shadow in the mirror. After losing her frozen dragon teeth, she also exhibited the strongest magic array with the help of Red Dragon Zaka, creating an ice mirror array specially used to reflect each other's magic attacks. First shot. Red Dragon Zaka shouted excitedly. Facing the strongest Black Dragon Zaka, she had no fear at all. Zaka of the Flame should go forward and never look back. Huge flaming meteors hit Black Dragon Zaka's body, and dark red mushroom clouds rose into the sky. Finally, Black Dragon Zaka, covered by endless darkness, responded. A little green light gradually appeared in those dark eyes. Betrayer. Unforgivable. That was the voice of Black Dragon Zaka that Yunshi had heard on the first and second floor. He thought it was the Black Dragon Zaka's curse. But now Yunshi knows that this is not the original sound of Black Dragon Zaka. The real Black Dragon Zaka is the child who is silent while biting bread, and even shy when being touched by her sisters. Her mind was sensitive and soft. She was a little speechless, but she would never be a bad child. The angry voice came from the sleeping original dragon, which was the enemy that Yunshi had to defeat in the main task. Control is about to fail, Prince. You have to be prepared. White Lotus frowned. If they hadn't used the red dragon heart in the golden balance as the medium to suppress the crazy consciousness from the original dragon, the world would have been torn to pieces by the original dragon. Whether you live or die depends on yourself. Red Lotus looked at Yunshi maliciously. She always thought the prince looked familiar and wanted to kill him. Well, illusion must be an illusion. Coming out, her real body. The 3 treasure beads that once disappeared in the king's city of Assyria were suspended in front of the huge body of Black Dragon Zaka, and the endless dark breath began to gather madly towards the 3 original god weapon. At the same time, a lot of black matter began to fall from the sky, as if something was being stripped away. Second, third, fourth. Red Dragon Zaka dominates the larger and larger flame meteors, and severely hits Black Dragon Zaka. Thousands of dark substances were extinguished in the flames. It seemed that half of the sky had been ignited, showing a bright dark red. The rest of the fallen dark matter was intercepted by Desert Dragon Zaka's sand eyes, and none of it fell to the top of the tower. However, this will not prevent the reorganization of the 3 original god weapons. The black mask appeared, followed by the familiar little figure, but this time there was no fish tail. That's the real Black Dragon Zaka. Or, the spokesman of the original dragon's will. Compared with her in the mermaid game, her real appearance gives off a more terrible and ominous smell. The eyes that occasionally emit green light in the dark make people shudder just to be seen. Looking directly at her, Yunshi even felt a palpitation. Well, my mother looks very angry. Desert Dragon Zaka looked at the Black Dragon Zaka wearing a black mask, and all 4 sand eyes were nervous and rotated. Agree. Ice Dragon Zaka, who has always been calm, also fell into unease in the face of the real Black Dragon Zaka. The Black Dragon Zaka in this shape represents the real Invincible. She swallowed the world, and her strength has expanded to an unimaginable level, which is why only she can kill God. That is the unique attribute given to Black Dragon Zaka by the original dragon. I will prove it to you, mother. Red Dragon Zaka bit her teeth and released the strongest flame meteor so far. There are 3 consecutive ones, one larger than the other, falling to the masked Black Dragon Zaka. Black Dragon Zaka held out a finger, and then gently clicked it to make a hook. All the darkness between heaven and earth seems to have stopped for a while, and then several huge black crevices appeared out of thin air, which forcibly swallowed the flame meteors of Red Dragon Zaka. Paw! 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 Several small and almost inaudible sounds sounded inside Black Dragon Zaka's body and then disappeared. She ate them. Red Dragon Zaka stared at the Black Dragon Zaka who licked her lips. They were flaming meteors. She is too big. Ice Dragon Zaka shook her head. This is the gap. The original dragon mother preferred her. Good appetite. Desert Dragon Zaka looked at her sister admiringly. What is the taste of eating a world? I'm afraid this is the ultimate attribute of an eater. Chapter 8:26. Staggered Blades. Black Dragon Zaka shook her head and opened her mouth after swallowing the strongest shots of the fire meteor of Red Dragon Zaka. Ready. As the four sisters of Zaka, the Three Dragons Alliance saw what Black Dragon Zaka was going to do at the same time. Lava Shield. The Wall of Sand Eyes. Ice Mirror Array. Three ultimate defenses with different attributes appear around the Three Dragons Alliance at the same time. Who? Black Dragon Zaka lowered her head, and suddenly countless black substances surged around her like tides. This is... Yunshi opened his eyes wide and felt the deadly oppression deep into the bone marrow. The next second, Black Dragon Zaka's breath was released overwhelmingly. The black light flow is like trying to shatter the world. It turns from the ridiculous cherry mouth into a column of light. At first, it is only the size of a thumb, but in an instant, it continues to expand and spread, turning into a wave of black breath that is enough to erase the whole giant fire tower from the map. The golden balance in the hands of the twin witches tilted violently towards the direction of the black vortex in an instant, shaky. Crazy breath. First of all, the four sand eyes in the way were stacked into a wall one by one, then smashed more than hundreds of ice mirror arrays, and then heavily bombarded the last lava shield. The lava shield supported by the molten core lasted less than 3 seconds, and was crushed by the breath of Black Dragon Zaka. The strongest defense combination of the Three Dragons Alliance is like a blank sheet of paper in front of Black Dragon Zaka's breath. Something's wrong. This is not the attribute of Black Dragon Zaka. Why is my strength restrained? The three dragons looked at the Black Dragon Zaka, which defeated the three people together with a breath, with stunning eyes. Is Black Dragon Zaka so strong after it evolved? The Star Wings. Finally, Yunshi had to summon the ultimate god weapon that he could not control and waved his sword at the overwhelming black breath. The shining flying sword spirit was not polluted by the black breath, and burst into infinite brilliance on the battlefield, positively resisting the unstoppable dragon breath of Black Dragon Zaka. This sword is really powerful. Desert Dragon Zaka looked enviously at the Star Wings in Yunshi's hands and remembered the shock of being defeated by the Star Wings. The anger of our mother infected her and suppressed our power. Ace Dragon Zaka calmly judged the real reason why the shield of the three dragons was vulnerable. I don't believe it, keep fighting. Red Dragon Zaka gritted her teeth and lifted Yunshi's hand, burning flames all over her body. This is both a signal and a symptom, which means that Red Dragon Zaka is about to forge ahead and cooperate with Yunshi wholeheartedly. I see. Yunshi tightly grasped Red Dragon Zaka's small hand, and their consciousness overlapped with each other very skillfully. Spiral light breaks through the sky. My attack is invincible. Look, the sky is burning, that is the proof of our love. Break it, the thing that dares to stop me. This is the ruling from the Red Dragon Queen. Even if it is impermanent darkness, I will break it for you. Holy Crimson light. The endless red halo spread with their voices. Desert Dragon Zaka felt that she had been hurt 10,000 points. Ice Dragon Zaka felt that she had been critically hit. White Lotus looked at the pair angrily and almost lost the golden balance in her hand. Red Lotus raised her eyebrows, for some reason she was also murderous. Well, the powerful ultimate combination skill has caused more than 50,000 points of undifferentiated damage to their own camp before it was launched. Fortunately, this move will do more harm to Black Dragon Zaka. seeing the two holding hands, heart to heart, a sweet, hot look. In Black Dragon Zaka's dark pupils a large green light suddenly appeared. 100,000 points of real damage, firmly penetrating the defense of the black mask, let the great will that dominated Black Dragon Zaka's body completely fall into a state of madness. Quack! Holding up her little hand, Black Dragon Zaka's index finger and middle finger stood up into a sword. At the same time, behind her emerged a huge black sword that looked enough to tear the world apart. Yunshi had an intuition when he saw the sword. Don't let this move appear. This move is the God Sword skill that can really separate the world with one sword. Clearly has never seen this sword, but the Three Dragons Alliance is only oppressed by the sword momentum of this sword, and it has a cold body, like the fear of the end. On the sword of Black Dragon Zaka, the attribute of Pair of Dragons appears, which should not have appeared on Black Dragon Zaka. Endless dark matter began to condense on this huge dark sword, making the sword body more huge and more real. The longer this move is charged, the more powerful it will be. It is a forbidden move that goes beyond the common sense of the world. If this move is completed, the world will end and the Three Dragons Alliance will disappear. Yunshi is extremely convinced of this. So, he attacked. The silvery white light spots turned into bright tracks, with 4 white lines moving forward in a spiral circuit, and instantly hit the expanding sword of darkness in Black Dragon Zaka's hands. At the same time, the dark red dragon roar spread faster and crazier than ever. Both of them are powerful enough to destroy the world, and they collide together directly. For the first time, the sacred crimson light didn't completely crush the target. The dark matter gathered in the Black Dragon Zaka dark sword has completed the process from quantitative change to qualitative change, and has become a certain outline with indestructible properties. The silver-white light spot that can penetrate and tear everything just interrupts the body of the dark sword from the middle, reducing the killing power of the sword by about 70%. But even Darkness Sword, which only had 30% of its power, still released enough destructive power to kill the stars. As Black Dragon Zaka's sword light fell, it relentlessly attacked the Three Dragons Alliance and Yunshi. The Star Wings. This is the first time that Yunshi has met a target that could not be defeated by the divine crimson light. He had to release the endless flying sword chi again, constantly tearing the falling black giant sword. If this dark giant sword is a dragon-slaying blade that can cut a dragon, then the winged sword of Yunshi is a spirit flying among the stars. Perhaps a Chantal sword chi can't compete with this dark giant sword, but it is also a quantitative change that produces a qualitative change. When the number of sword chi flying out of the star wings exceeded 3,000, it finally managed to stop the killing trend of the dark giant sword before it fell motionlessly to the ground. Chapter 827, Dragon Roar Wave in 4 colors. I'm sorry, but I'll take care of this battle. The star wings in Yunshi's hand kept making sweet sword sounds. It is a call on the temptation, which tempts Yunshi to open the door of taboo again and release the power from the other side of the galaxy, even from the other side of time and space. Clearly know that this is not possible, but Yunshi still can't help but not use it. This is probably the most contradictory place. The will of the stars sent the star wings, one of the 3 strongest swords at the top of the starry sky, to Yunshi's hand, but he didn't control the power of this divine sword at all, which had to be said to be a very helpless thing. Hey, why did Black Dragon Zaka suddenly have that attribute? Desert Dragon Zaka is very depressed. This couldn't be called a battle at all. Because our mothers will dominated her and made her exceed her own limit, she is not completely Black Dragon Zaka now. Ice Dragon Zaka said the reason for this situation. Even so, we can only continue to fight. Red Dragon Zaka bit her lips. As the strongest core of the Three Dragons Alliance, she was most severely suppressed by Black Dragon Zaka's anti-dragon attribute. The blow of the black giant sword even broke her crimson dragon roar wave from the front. If it weren't for the strike of Yunxi's star wings and the divine crimson light that broke the 70% structure of the black giant sword, the three-dragon alliance would have been killed by that sword. This is not the power of Black Dragon Zaka. The original god weapon she held is a nightmare heart with devouring the world as the core. Turning herself into a black dragon and devouring the world is the biggest feature of this god weapon. Although Yunxi doesn't want to admit it, the Sword of Darkness just now indeed has the power of the great original dragon and the will of their mother. After discovering this, the morale of the three dragons' alliance was reduced, because they were conceived by the original dragon, and they could not defeat their mother. Even the most belligerent desert dragon Zaka could not violate this principle. Only one person could do this. Therefore, Yunxi will bear this responsibility. Here, he is the only one who can really fight against the original dragon will. From the beginning, this is the destiny that's doomed. The final stage of this battlefield doesn't belong to the Zakas of the Three Dragons Alliance, nor does it belong to the Black Dragon Zaka, which has evolved a posture of devouring the world. Once again, lend me all your strength this time. Yunxi grasped his star wings and made a decision. This time, he is not fighting alone. If you want to win, you must gather all your strength. Okay, everything is up to you. Desert Dragon Zaka came to Yunxi and pressed his left shoulder. When our mother wakes up, she will be angry. Ace Dragon Zaka came behind Yunxi and pressed his right shoulder. This is the last and the most brilliant. Red Dragon Zaka took the initiative to stand in the arms of Yunxi, and the two raised their hands together. Look, the sky is burning. Our sandstorm is blowing. Blizzard, come forth. The silvery white light points shine again on Yunxi's fingertips, and the three colorless and transparent spiral lines are dyed with different colors. Desert Dragon Zaka's wild gravel color. Ace Dragon Zaka's calm and restrained ice and snow color. Red Dragon Zaka's ebullient flame color. This is a combination skill with a scale of 4 people, integrating the strongest brilliance of 4 dragon roar waves. Perhaps because of their skin relatives, Yunxi accepted the dragon attribute power of Desert Dragon Zaka and Ice Dragon Zaka effortlessly, and was almost unhindered when integrating into the divine light. It seems that he is naturally good at combining the forces of different attributes. After the final fusion, the holy light showed a constantly changing beautiful posture, with the silver spiral light point as the top and 3 different colors of spiral lines, instantly locking the black dragon Zaka. It's still the familiar sweet honey, and even a little more Pafyapafu flavor, which caused special damage to the twin witches in his camp before he took action. On Black Dragon Zaka's side, she was hit by Holy Light X3. 3 treasure beads emerged at the same time, once again forming the demon sword that once appeared on the 3rd floor of Assyria. The 4-colored holy light shows the 4 attributes of frost, dust, fire and holiness. The demon sword in the hands of Black Dragon Zaka also shows frost, dust, nightmare, and special anti-dragon attributes. Back in the hands of Black Dragon Zaka, the 3 treasure beads released enough aura to destroy the sky and the earth. Inlaid with the disc of treasure beads, a large number of runes emerged, which are words interpreting the essence of the rules world. Sharp. Tough. Defenseless. Cannot avoid. Multiple crushing. Crush. Armor break. With each additional rune, the destructive smell released by Demon Sword will increase by 1 point, even in the face of the 4-color dragon roar wave jointly displayed by the 3 Dragons Alliance and Yunxi, it is not inferior. Both sides have shown the power to dominate some of the world's rules. Buzz. The rotating demon sword stirred the surroundings like longing for blood and killing, creating a huge black vortex around Black Dragon Zaka. That is what appears on the golden scale of the twin witches, representing the essence of Black Dragon Zaka at the moment. Sweep over everything, destroy everything. Devour everything, destroy everything. Unstoppable, like the footsteps of the world collapsing. Black Dragon Zaka's aura suddenly changed. It was an absolute focus, which Yunshi was very familiar with. Why does Black Dragon Zaka have such an aura? Yunshi, with the four-color dragon roar wave, and the three dragons alliance, fiercely hit Black Dragon Zaka. If we don't succeed, we will die. This is Yunshi's decision. There is no possibility of a long-term war. In the face of Black Dragon Zaka, who has devoured a world, any tactic that wants to drag it down is ridiculous. Without the protection of the golden balance of the twin witches, the world would have collapsed. This is the truth Yunshi realized when he entered this battlefield. This war can only be won. There is no other way but to win. However, in the next second, Black Dragon Zaka's posture made Yunshi's back suddenly feel chill. The supremacy of heaven and the world. Supercilious and transcendent. In the next second, the sharp sword light cut off all the brilliance flying in the sky, calling for a bloodbath. Yunshi has seen and felt such a sword light before. The four-color light runs through the body of Black Dragon Zaka, and the sword light that cuts everything also cuts the four-color light. Four beads appeared in the sky at the same time, and the last lost bead also appeared. This represents the fall of Red Dragon Zaka. Chapter 828, Secret Treasure of the Dragon caused destruction to both sides. No, it's the disastrous defeat of Yunshi. Holding hands with Yunshi, Red Dragon Zaka's abdomen was accurately penetrated. The sword of Black Dragon Zaka has accurately targeted the biggest weakness of the Three Dragons Alliance and Yunshi. The core of molten fire provides the source of Red Dragon Zaka's infinite energy, and it is also the basis for the Three Dragons Alliance and Yunshi to display their combined skills. The original god weapon hidden in the body of Red Dragon Zaka was knocked out of her body by the sword light of Black Dragon Zaka, revealing her original appearance. It was a red crystal, showing a constantly rotating posture, in which countless flowing lava could be vaguely seen. It is enough to hold the origin of the fire element in one world. Among the four original god weapons, it is the only fire attribute god weapon with the infinite attribute. The biggest threat Yunshi poses to Black Dragon Zaka is the four-color dragon roar wave. Without the support of this molten core, neither Red Dragon Zaka nor Yunshi can launch the ultimate combination skill. Ga. Red Dragon Zaka, whose core of molten fire was forcibly knocked out of the body, fell into Yunshi's arms, and her whole body softened. Cough. Desert Dragon Zaka, who was in the state of launching the combination skill with Yunshi, was no better. The forced interruption of the four-color dragon roar wave also caused a huge backfire on her. She is not our sister Black Dragon Zaka. Ace Dragon Zaka's body was shaky, showing an expression of near despair. Opposite, Black Dragon Zaka was also miserable. Her mask was broken, revealing her young and silent face, but there was no emotion in her dark pupils. The attack of the four-color dragon roar wave was not ineffective. The big hole on the left side of her chest was the wound left by the strongest attack launched by Yunshi and the Three Dragons Alliance. However, such an injury is not fatal to Black Dragon Zaka. Instead, Red Dragon Zaka, who lost the core of molten fire, lost almost all her vitality. This time, even the little green flower in her heart can't save Red Dragon Zaka's life. Without the infinite energy supported by the core of molten fire, the vitality of Red Dragon Zaka began to fade at a visible speed, and her originally shiny dragon horn also became rough. This must be a punishment from my mother. Red Dragon Zaka covered her mouth and was unwilling. It's all your fault. My mother can't forgive me. Sorry to involve you in this war. Yunshi looked at Red Dragon Zaka in his arms with guilt. Through the connection of life, he clearly felt that Red Dragon Zaka's life began to count down. Black Dragon Zaka's sword has an undeniable attribute against the dragon, which cut her vitality to 0 the moment it ran through Red Dragon Zaka's body. The veritable sword of dragon killing really doesn't look like a sword skill that the speechless Black Dragon Zaka can use. She doesn't look like the person who would kill her sisters. But I won't regret it. Red Dragon Zaka slowly closed her eyes and gently told Yunshi, only with you, I won't regret it. Returning to the embrace of the original Dragon Mother is probably our destination. We were all her children. The green flowers left the heart of Red Dragon Zaka and returned to the fingertips of Yunshi. Sigh, even if I have to die, I have to die with glory. Desert Dragon Zaka stood on tiptoe and kissed Yunshi on the cheek. Goodbye, my playboy. Ice Dragon Zaka also learned from her sister and kissed Yunshi on the cheek. Obviously, they weren't hit by Black Dragon Zaka's sword. Desert Dragon Zaka and Ice Dragon Zaka were both dead together with Red Dragon Zaka. The bodies of the 3 people began to turn into light spots of different colors, as if summoned by something, and flew towards the treasure beads suspended in the sky. It was indeed a call from the original dragon, but a call of death. Am I alone again? Looking at the green flower at his fingertips, Yunshi looked at the 3 dragons, which turned into light spots and disappeared with sad eyes. No, it's not just the 3 dragons that have disappeared. The body of Black Dragon Zaka, whose mask was shattered by the 4-color dragon roar wave, was also disappearing. This is... Yunshi suddenly raised her head and looked at the 4 treasure beads in the sky. Desert Dragon Zaka's Dust Treasure Bead. Ice Dragon Zaka's Ice Treasure Bead. Red Dragon Zaka's Fire Treasure Bead. Black Dragon Zaka's Nightmare Treasure Bead. The 4 Zaka sisters have all turned to dust and died together. Finally, Yunshi and the 3 dragons jointly performed the ultimate combination skill, which was not ineffective. They did help him defeat the strongest Black Dragon Zaka at the end. Zakas return to where they come from. The 4 treasure beads are their incarnations. So, who is in front of him now? Don't be careless, Prince, the battle is not over. White Lotus looked at the golden balance in her hand, and the heart of the red dragon and the black vortex disappeared at the same time. Instead, there are 2 chips to judge the ultimate fate of the world. Instead of the heart of the red dragon, the king with a sword appeared at the left end of the scale. Instead of the black vortex, the emerald dragon's shadow appeared at the right end of the balance. The sleeping primal dragon was waking up. Black Dragon Zaka's young body started growing, and the once shattered black mask was replaced by a new emerald-colored mask. The real final battle began after the return of the Zaka sisters. Yunshi, finally facing the ultimate evil of the world, which is also the strongest ultimate creature, the original dragon. Under the emerald mask, a chilling smile appeared, which was a dangerous smile of, I finally caught you, and, how can you escape now? Yunshi has never felt such a sense of oppression, which is a fatal threat that even the heart will stagnate. Yunshi has no doubt that the waking original dragon has the strength to crush him. At the same time, in Yunshi's mind, a task suddenly began to shine, as if it was reminding Yunshi of something. Optional Branch 4, find the hidden secret treasure of the evil dragon. Dragon's secret treasure. What's that? Yunshi looked at the prompt that suddenly appeared, and his heart moved. He looked up and saw 4 treasure beads floating in the sky. They are the treasure beads representing Desert Dragon Zaka, Ice Dragon Zaka, Red Dragon Zaka, and Black Dragon Zaka respectively. Although they died, they didn't disappear, but continued to exist there in this way. Born from the original dragon will, they will become the strongest weapons of the original dragon, which is their essence. Is the so-called secret treasure of the dragon? The strongest black mark on Yunshi's hand suddenly started to heat up. Are you making a sound to me? Finally, Black Dragon Zaka. Yes, the anger of our mother is unstoppable. She will destroy the world. If you really want to save the world, use us. We made a choice. Yunshi's heartbeat began to accelerate unprecedentedly. If the world has been surrounded by endless darkness, the voice echoing in his ears at the moment is the final salvation. Confess to me, fool. Confess to me, playboy. Confess to me, liar. Confess, what is it? The voices of the four Zaka sisters echoed in Yunshi's mind at the same time, just as they were still alive. Ah, I see. The most precious secret treasure of the evil dragon is you. Chapter 828, Secret Treasure of the Dragon, Part 2, I like you, Desert Dragon Zaka, you are the storm of hot sand, my third princess. I like you, Ice Dragon Zaka. You are the queen of ice and snow, my fourth princess. I like you, Red Dragon Zaka, you are the burning flame, my fifth princess. I like you, Black Dragon Zaka, you are the mysterious unknown, my sixth princess. If you can, marry me, great Zakas. Yunshi stretched out his hand, and the world extended infinitely between his fingers, confession to the four Zaka sisters at the same time. They are sisters who will not be separated. As long as you like one person, you will naturally like all of them, which seems to be destined. Therefore, what they ask is we, which is what they desire. We are Zaka sisters, the great Zaka sisters. Desert Dragon Zaka triumphantly responded. We are Zaka sisters, the wise Zaka sisters. Ice Dragon Zaka responded with a smile. We are Zaka sisters, the fighting Zaka sisters. Red Dragon Zaka's enthusiasm remained the same. We are Zaka sisters, the mysterious Zaka sisters. Black Dragon Zaka's voice was a little low. Zaka sisters will never be defeated. Zaka sisters will go forward. Zaka sisters will win every battle. Zaka sisters won't regret their choice. Yunshi can't tell who is who, because the voices of the four sisters have been mixed together. On the ground, the original giant dragon wearing an emerald mask stretched out her hand and began to call on the four beads in the sky. It was an absolute order from the original dragon will, a compulsory order for the four sisters. However, this time, the four Zaka sisters resisted the original dragon's instructions together, and the four Zaka sisters made the same choice. The four treasure beads gathered together flew to Yunshi at the same time, releasing the breath of the four Zaka sisters. The dragon on the ground was stunned. Suddenly her murderous intent rose to the sky, as she glared at Yunshi, who had been favored by the four Zaka sisters. Ah! What a wonderful scene! White Lotus looked at the golden balance that instantly recovered the balance, covering her small mouth. It's shameless. Red Lotus said that the man over there was hopeless. Desert field. The four sand eyes appeared again, bigger than ever, and the wind of hot sand released was more violent. Ice mirror array. More and denser ice mirrors emerged around Yunshi, launching an unprecedented large array. Dragon roar wave. The deep red dragon roar wave spread and roared, making the earth completely dyed red. Nightmare. Once again, a huge dark dragon shadow appeared, but this time the dragon that devoured the world became the support of Yunshi, the strongest help from Black Dragon Zaka. At this moment, Yunshi felt that the star wings in his hand seemed to release a certain sense of elation. Illusion, it's an illusion. All the branch missions of the Dragon War were marked with completion one by one. At this moment, Yunshi stood at the top of the world and raised the star wings in his hands under the gaze of the twin witches. The four Zaka sisters, who betrayed their mother, floated beside him at the same time and completely ignored the compulsory combination order from their mother. Hiss. Ha. The original dragon with its head askew seemed to be in a state of extreme doubt and stretched out its hand again to issue a recall order to the four Zaka sisters. Sorry, I want to be here. I can't go back. Sorry, Mother. Mom, I'm out of order. At the same time, the four sisters rejected the call from the original dragon and danced around Yunxi of their own will. The original dragon's killing intent began to increase at an unusual rate. Anger, disappointment, or both. The green light surrounded the original dragon's body. She once again closed her index finger and middle finger together, and a huge emerald sword began to take shape behind her. At the moment of the formation of this huge sword, the golden balance began to shake violently, as if the fate of the world was about to encounter the final judgment. No, my mother is going to destroy the world. Attack! Once again, the strongest dragon roar wave. What is a combination skill? The voices of the four Zaka sisters suddenly became tense, and the four treasure beads all wrapped around Yunxi, and then entered Yunxi's body. Yunxi's left hand was occupied by Desert Dragon Zaka. Yunxi's right hand was occupied by Ice Dragon Zaka. Yunxi's heart was occupied by Red Dragon Zaka. Yunxi's forehead was occupied by Black Dragon Zaka. The Black Dragon, which devoured the world, began to roar. Zakas, the strongest forces that once overwhelmed Yunxi, became the strongest four in aid. With all the power, Yunxi can feel the will of the four Zaka sisters. The sacred silver light points were flying at Yunxi's fingertips and cheering. The sand blown from the horizon is the proof of our love. Desert Dragon Zaka began to boldly confess. The permanent ice and snow at the end of the world is a witness. Look, the sky is burning. This is the strongest flame of the Red Dragon Queen. Eyes in the dark, staring at you. Yunxi raised the star wings in his hand, and endless brilliance fell, which was the care of the stars. The original dragon's finger fell coldly. It was the final judgment of the fate of the world. Between heaven and earth, endless brilliance and green giant swords crisscross, explode and sublimate. It's like what it was when it was being praised at the beginning of the world. Chapter 829. The Power of the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon's shadow covered heaven and earth, releasing a breath that frightened all things. Black Dragon Zaka, once the strongest enemy in front of Yunxi, was now his greatest help. After the sacred silver-white light spot, it was constantly rotating lines of four different colors. Desert Dragon Zaka's gravel color. Ice Dragon Zaka's frost color. Red Dragon Zaka's flame color. Black Dragon Zaka's nightmare color. This time, it was the real ultimate dragon roar wave. The three primary colors of red, yellow, and blue plus black and white can deduce 10,000 colors. This was Yunxi's holy dragon roar wave. Every second, there were endless colors flying around Yunxi, along with the songs of Zaka, fighting side by side with Yunxi. Yunxi, who wields four treasure beads, has the qualification and strength. Desert Dragon Zaka's treasure bead gives him the power of gravel, Ice Dragon Zaka's treasure bead gives him the power of frost, Red Dragon Zaka's treasure bead gives him the power of fire, and Black Dragon Zaka's treasure bead gives him the power of nightmare. Instead of becoming the supreme sword of the original dragon, the world's most powerful dragon treasures chose Yunxi, betrayed their mother and came to him. The dragon roar wave, which has unlimited energy and the power of devouring the world, will not disappear. It's like the incarnation of the four Zaka sisters, and will be with Yunxi forever. The dragon roar wave danced between heaven and earth, turning into a rotating spiral blade and hitting the emerald sword of the original dragon, destroying the sword that would have been composed of them over and over again, making the original dragon's anger rise constantly. This is the trace and proof of the existence of the Zaka sisters, and also a signal of their love for Yunxi. The emerald-colored giant sword fell and bombarded the dragon roar wave. Each of its attacks had overwhelming power, tearing apart heaven and earth. It's impossible to imagine how powerful the sword the original dragon wielded would be if she held the perfect original god weapon composed of 4 treasure beads at this moment. It may be nothing more than exaggeration to describe it as groundbreaking. Yunshi can feel the surging power in his body, which was completely controlled by himself, making his body seem to be burning. The Zaka sisters told her in this way that even if their flesh and blood disappeared, they would be with him and fight side by side. Tears welled up in his eyes, as he felt gratitude towards the Zaka sisters who gambled everything. They knew that if he won, they would disappear with the original dragon, but they still made a choice. Therefore, he will bear all of them and fight. The Star of the Sand. Pointing the star wings to the sky, Yunshi launched the ultimate skill of Desert Dragon Zaka, summoning a star that can destroy the world. The star composed of endless gravel appeared in the sky, and then began to fall rapidly. 4 sand eyes surrounded the star, summoning more gravel to make the star composed of gravel more huge. The original dragon raised her hand, and the green giant sword behind her instantly began to cut the star of the sand. It seems that it is almost as difficult for her to cut open the star that fell to the ground as it was for her to cut an apple. Frozen for thousands of miles, trio. Yunshi released 3 forbidden spells without stopping. The snow line spread instantly on the earth, and the 10,000-year-old ice and snow turned into ice rings, froze everything, and everywhere you saw a vast white expanse. Pure white without any impurities. Let the world become pure and white. The battlefield turned white. The green halo around the original dragon spread and was not affected by the ice. The extremely low temperature seemed to be just a breeze blowing across her face. Look, the sky is burning. Yunshi stood up his index finger and middle finger and pointed to the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 flame meteors formed in the sky, and then countless fire clouds began to boil, like magma bubbles under the ground. The original dragon looked dismissively at the burning clouds that began to boil, opened her small mouth, and spit out a jade dragon's breath. Before the 7 flame meteors began to fall, they were transformed into nothingness by the spreading emerald dragon's breath, as if they had been completely decomposed. Strong, hopelessly strong. Yunshi couldn't even figure out the real strength of the original dragon in front of him. It seems that she hasn't been serious since she came on stage. My mother, in fact, is still asleep. It's just her anger. A slightly hoarse, low voice came from his ears, which was the murmur of Black Dragon Zaka, the most powerful of the 4 Zaka sisters and the least familiar to Yunshi. As the strongest Zaka who was once dominated by the original dragon, she is the only one of the 4 Zaka sisters who has really touched that kind of will. If you can calm our mother's anger, maybe you can save the world. I know she is angry, but why? Yunshi asked the youngest Zaka who was whispering in his ear. That's because she had nightmares. Black Dragon Zaka couldn't understand what was going on. It was too difficult for her to understand why the great original dragon mother was angry. That gnashing of teeth and bitter hatred seemed to be only aimed at one person. Considering that there is only one human being in the world who can resist the original dragon, the answer seems not difficult to reason. It was none other than the prince who caused the original dragon's anger. You, our mother's nightmare. After reaching this conclusion, Black Dragon Zaka's voice suddenly became silent. I know. My mother's hatred must be on you. The reason? Maybe you can guess. I'll tell you the truth. Who let you not even let go of the youngest sister Black Dragon Zaka? In his mind, the 3 dragons came together again. It seemed that even if they lost their flesh, their contempt for Yunshi would remain unchanged for 10,000 years. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.